We are Squawking Dead, a podcast polarizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, but most times we go deep. I'm your host, David Cameo, and I'm joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget. ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUASETER. Thank you for joining us on this lovely, lovely Monday night live stream talking about The Walking Dead Dead Cities series premiere episode titled Old Acquaintances. I can never spell that word for the life of me, and I'm learning. I'm growing.
That's why we have autocorrect.
Yeah, you'd think. Anyway, thank you for joining us tonight, Takira, Maydays. Who's Maydays? I know who that is. Rachel Burt.
Shauna.
There you go. See, I knew who it was. We got Emily. Emily's Doodles.
Takira's here. Emily's here.
And Thomas, Celtic TSO. She's here. Yeah, I know we're late because we like to talk behind the scenes and make funny impressions. What do you mean? Oh, knock. Well, you have to say the thing so that people know what your response. Knock, Rachel.
I'm answering.
Knock, Rachel. Says Thomas.
If people were here right now, they would know exactly what I'm responding to.
Yeah, but the audio
Who's there?
podcast is not gonna know what is happening.
Well, the audio podcast listeners should be here right now, shouldn't they? Come on, audio.
Well, they might have to be because I do have to say something, and that's because of the way the recording schedule goes out. I want to release the podcast for Fear the Walking Dead's mid-season finale, which we recorded yesterday. If you followed us on ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead, take a breath there, you would have been in the recording studio like Jasmine and Mitchell were for a brief period of time at the very least. So I want to release that podcast before the Dead City podcast. So those podcasts, those audio podcasts, are not going to go out for a little while in the interest of getting Fear wrapped up and then starting off with Dead City. So the first two Dead City podcasts might be a little closer together than I'm comfortable with, but we'll see. We're going to see. We're going to take it day by day. But thank you for joining us, everybody. I want to get your thoughts on, not all at once and not right now, your thoughts on the series premiere of Dead City. Let's go with first impressions, including yours in the chat. I want to start with, we'll start with the toughest potential cookie, but I'm not quite sure. You never should count out your friends. And we'll start out with Rachel first, because we were all concerned when we watched this episode that there's so many trigger warnings that we gave you along the watch of our own episode.
This is true.
So I wanted to know how you felt. Like, first of all, let us know about the trigger warning part of it, but then also let us know what your overall impressions are.
Okay, so yes, my friends love me, and I did get some warnings ahead of time. Things I should watch out for and maybe when to close my eyes type of things. And I did very, very much appreciate that. I was actually able to get 2 watches of this episode in today. I know, right? Yeah.
Impressed.
She just finished before we got on too. It's so funny.
I did. I was watching the last 3 minutes on here when I got on here. I love Fear the Walking Dead. Let me just start by saying that I love Fear the Walking Dead, but there's just something about The Walking Dead.
Whoa.
And
is that Thomas?
The flagship kick.
Thomas said the same thing in text message to me. No, you're saying the same thing he said to me in text message as soon as he watched it. The difference between the writing between Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead City.
Well, yes. I mean, yes, the writing, you and I had just talked about the difference in the writing, but I'm just saying the show in general, there's just something about the main show that has a very special place in my heart. And so when it comes to The Walking Dead and this, to me, even though it's not my favorite character, still in my heart is part of the main show. And so just watching it feels a little different to me. I did go into this episode very, I don't know, what's the word?
Guarded?
Apprehensive, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
It would be a good way
It's a better word. Yeah.
describe how I felt. My expectations were I'm going to be honest. I expected to hate this, honestly. I did not expect to like it at all. But I texted the ladies here as soon as it was done. It's Bridget typing. I can
Yeah,
hear it too.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so.
No, it's
I'm on a
fine.
laptop.
Use your words.
I'm like, what is
Use your words.
I'm
Use
like,
your
what
words.
is that? I'm like, what is that? Okay, I get it now. But I texted these two as soon as it was done, and I was like, you know what, fucker, I liked it. I really did. I liked it. I mean, and now I'm gonna go back to what we just said a second ago. The writing. I mean, the writing between this show and so far what we've seen on Fear is like night and frickin' day. It is so, and it was so refreshing, right?
It's more visual,
to like watch
right?
a show with such beautiful writing. Oh my gosh. They just let the scenes play out. They didn't over explain everything that was happening. We got to meet these new characters and figure out who they were based on what we were seeing and not what we are being told.
There
See,
was
It
so
was
much
so
less dialogue.
refreshing.
Scenes had time to
They did
breathe.
treat us
Yes.
like idiots.
Dialogue, and it was like,
Yes.
They didn't treat us like idiots.
exactly.
Like we couldn't figure out a
Yes.
scene on our own.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
It was so refreshing. And this whole time watching Fear the Walking Dead, I'm like, I was agreeing, with the writing choices and everything, but it's like it almost took watching this episode for it to really sink in, like just how bad it was by comparison, even. So
You mean to use
so
the
I
word
guess this is a
lackluster,
very
right?
long way for me to say I like yes, yeah. So this is a very long-winded way for me to say that I did really enjoy this first episode, and
Are you apologizing? It sounds like you're almost apologizing for liking it. It's like I really
I
really
do kind
did
of
like
feel
this
bad.
episode.
Like I feel guilty. I do, yeah. Like I kind of feel guilty for liking it. There is still. I turned away at 22 minutes, and I did not watch either time. I had to turn away.
Just like muted the
I couldn't
picture.
do it. Yeah, no, I had to like turn my
yes, I
face
muted
away
the
and like,
picture with my eyelids.
yeah,
And my
yes,
earlids.
yep, I did that.
So I wanted to ask
My
this question.
earlids.
I wanted to ask this question before we continue with impressions, and that was, first of all, everybody in the chat saying yes, love it. You're dead on right with the show don't tell, etc. The writing, etc.
Yeah.
But the one question I wanted to ask was there in some way a sort of sympathetic, a little bit more sympathy for Maggie in this episode as a result of kind of watching some of those more visual scenes where she's crying out in silence, and because over the course of time I have been checking in with you on whether or not you feel something for Maggie in over the course of since she returned, because it's obvious
I can sympathize with Maggie in this episode from a mother's perspective, if that makes sense. Like I would be reeling if I were in her position as well. I mean, I would be absolutely freaking out, and like that first scene where she just like bashes that walker in, which by the way reminded me very much of the well walker that almost killed Glenn in season 2.
I wrote that too. It's amazing.
It reminded me of Negan.
Yeah, and the way he bashed in
the
heads.
Oh yeah.
But the
that
well
my
walker was
second
first.
Thought, but my first thought was yep. But just the way she like unleashed that fury, I'm like, yeah, I get it, girl. I get it. Yep.
She unleashed the furries. Somebody want to read
the furry? Ooh, I hope not.
Somebody want to read the chat? I have to check something technical.
Yeah, let me make it a little bit bigger. Let me go back up.
Well, Thomas says knock knock.
Yeah,
and we already
Thomas
said who's there.
Show us, don't tell us. Knock knock. Maggie. Oh, Shauna saying Maggie having to relive the whistle. Yeah, honestly, Shauna, her hearing Maggie do the whistle choked me up. I was like immediately just went like it made me gag a little bit. Thomas says the whistle callback was amazingly perfect. Such great writing. Yes. Beautiful writing.
Such great whistling.
Shauna says having her loved one once again taken by someone who does that. Yeah. Hearing the whistle and then losing a loved one. Right. Although I am a little, I'll wait till we get to that part. I was a little disappointed in something, but we'll talk about it when we get to that scene. Takira says, I actually loved the first scene. She says,
You gotta
Lauren
start off with a
performed
bang.
that scene perfectly. Yes, she did. Yep.
And Sean is like, freaking Herschel, what the hell?
Says, what the hell?
What's
my
wrong
God.
with Herschel?
Takira says, oh, he's a badass, just like his dad. Oh, I got such Glenn vibes at the end too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
his mom. I mean,
Yeah,
she's,
yeah,
she's pretty badass.
yeah. They're both a
She
bunch of
is.
badasses. All right, so why
Well,
don't
the end
Go ahead.
that end scene reminded me specifically of when Glenn was tied up in
The governor.
governor's torture room, though. That was which to be in all fairness, Maggie was as well, but just kind of the way it just reminded me more of Glenn.
and they were both equally
I
powerless.
was like, I'm not telling you shit.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bash your face in. Okay, well, then here we go. No, I mean he was taken. So she's upset that Herschel was taken, and she's saying freaking Herschel.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you take freaking Herschel? Not freaking Herschel is to blame for being taken, which is how it sounded like at first. Sorry, Shauna.
I mean, this is the third time. You think he would have learned something by now, some escape tactics or something.
Right.
He's got to, he's got to go through his hazing period. I don't know.
And we got a sense of time passing with his age, right?
Sure,
Like
yeah.
he's severely aged.
Similar
up,
to Fear. Ha
obviously.
ha 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 ha. We don't know how much. It's not explicitly said. Well,
Oh,
and
no.
that is the difference. Too.
No, they slapped us in the face with 7 years. They slapped us
No,
in the
we're-
face with 7 years.
we're talking
several
about-
times.
No, we're talking about Dead City though. We don't know really how much time
yeah.
has passed. That's what I'm talking about. So
No,
They
No.
said it was like
but we can infer.
a few years or a couple years, so I think it's
It is. It is 2 years
2 or
after the
3?
end of The Walking Dead. So there was at the end of The Walking Dead, we had the 1 year time jump,
guess I would have guessed.
and then this
longer.
is 2
Okay.
years. This is 2 years after that.
after the very
So-
end of The Walking Dead, right?
know,
So
Right. So 3 years if you
since
don't
we
count the
saw
very
Herschel last.
right, and if you don't count that little 1 year time jump blurb they had at the end of The Walking Dead, it's 3 years.
Right.
Shauna said it's like dog years and Fear the Fucking Dead.
Something I should have said in the last episode was the apocalypse makes things accelerated. We didn't think aging, but we thought, well, I mean, it could be. But, relationships accelerate, attitudes accelerate, maturity accelerates. People get mature really fast. People get their periods at 5 years old. Anyway, so let's get your impressions. Bridget, why not?
Sure. Why not? Why not me? So
What does it
I
mean?
really enjoyed it, and as Rachel said, the contrast in writing was different, like just night and day. Like Thomas just thrown in the chat. I'm surprised that Negan didn't say, Maggie, that's your son that you had with Glenn a few years back. Like that's the
Like
kind of
10 years
stuff
ago.
we are in Fear.
Yeah.
It's so dumb. Anyway, thank you, Thomas. That made me laugh.
Makes
The
note to
writing was
edit
night
that
and
out.
day, so that was
Just kidding.
it was really refreshing. Plus, okay, when I watch Walking Dead, right, I get sucked into like, I'm so excited and obsessed over this, and I've got to know more, and I'm like looking. Hi, Mom. And I'm like looking.
Hi, Mom.
I'm like looking for more, and I want to go back and rewatch the episodes, and I get like really invested, and then I'm like looking online for like merchandise, and I get hyper fixated. But when I watch Fear, I don't feel that way. I don't feel as much that way,
Not even the
I hate
green.
that I'm comparing it, but we literally just talked about it yesterday, so that's why.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Very unfair.
The color palette is nice because it's different. It's just different. So that's nice to have like a different color palette. And I really enjoyed the fact that Thomas, no, he's threatening to tell us about episode 2. Shh.
It sounds like it's a good compliment to episode 1, but let's keep going.
Which I'm glad. Everyone, there's been very positive reviews about what came out of it. I
Let's get yours.
am really excited to see where this is going to go in such a short period of time. I'm really excited because there's only 6 episodes.
Right.
But I'm excited to see where it goes. It's nice to see a city because it creates some new elements that we haven't been able to see before, especially being New York. Because you think New York, you think of
Me.
rats
Oh.
and cockroaches.
You think of David and Thomas.
And then Dave. So rats, cockroaches,
and
Dave.
And so it's kind of cool. Plus the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking like, I bet Dave knows where that is. I bet Dave is gonna have something to say about that. I bet Dave's gonna say something about that.
I bet Dave has seen the Statue of Liberty.
Even the stuff in New Jersey, I know. So.
I went to New York and I didn't see the Statue of Liberty.
It's a classic story.
I was in New York City and I didn't even eat pizza, except for Surfer Boy pizza.
That's
Which
worse
wasn't
than
even
not
real
seeing
pizza.
Yeah, don't even mention
the
it.
Statue
Let's
of
edit that
Liberty.
out.
I had so much
Look here.
pizza. I think I
here.
ate my body weight in pizza when I was in New York.
Yay.
I'll just have to go back for New York Comic Con.
That'll be yeah, why not? Yeah.
Ooh. Fun.
Well, shall we move on to Sharondy in terms of first impressions?
What?
Yeah,
Shut
I'm
up.
done.
Nuh-uh.
What do you mean? What's
Thomas, they did not show Bar 9 in the opening credits.
no,
Stop.
no, they did not.
That's a joke. Okay.
I really liked it. I only kind of half-ass watched it the first time, and I was like, yeah. So then today I went back and watched it again, and I was like, damn, this is really good. I love the color palette. I love the framing, and I love the shots, and I love Maggie's new look. Damn, she is just a badass. And again, as everybody else has said, the writing difference is just. There's nothing for me to make fun of. Like, in Fear, I can make fun of a million things. There was like literally nothing for me to make fun of in this show.
Come on, not even like the zipline scene near the end. God, what did you think was gonna happen? Of course the zipline's gonna go
that was
down so you can
awesome.
cut it. I'm kidding. I don't care. It's fine.
Well,
I mean,
know me.
dude, he
like,
wasn't thinking straight.
he
He'd
didn't
been
have another
tortured and
option.
shit.
Stop being me.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean,
Yeah, now we're
I
the
mean,
defensive ones,
Just
Dave.
kidding.
No, I mean, Fear is my number one. I'm more invested in Fear than I am in I'm in the Walking Dead universe, but I've always been more invested in Fear. But right now, this is way better. Sorry, Fear.
Sorry, Jenna.
Sorry.
Except for June.
Sorry.
Except for June. June is still number one.
Sorry.
Shook it.
But you know what? Maggie,
Sorry, Mikey.
Maggie is a close fucking second to June, man. She's
I don't know. Maybe we can get her to lap. No, I'm kidding. It's never gonna happen.
No.
It's never. Couldn't betray June like that. / Jenna. No.
But I loved it. And oh my god, the opening sequence. The title sequence. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
So why don't
It
we
was
start with
really
that?
cool.
I literally wrote down every single Switch cut, but which is not to say I'm going to talk about it or anything. I just kind of wanted it for my memory.
Oh, Thomas.
Thomas. He said, I think Sarah and Wendell took that zip line. Oh.
20 stories, 2 for 1 sale, brother and sister. Shame.
Shame.
He says it in Croatian, by the way. I actually looked it up. Akatek. What does he say?
Was that the last thing he said? I was wondering what the last thing he said was.
Yeah, aksteta, which means what a shame in Croatian. So yeah, I looked it up. I mean, you kind of knew that's what he was saying, but it's confirmation. But anyway, let me backtrack on that. Just one more little factoid I'm just going to throw out there. We're never going to touch again. But in the captions, he refers to the guy behind him. You know, when he comes in and he's threatening or whatever he's doing,
Yeah.
a little monologuing to Herschel, like a villain often does, which you don't really get to see as much in this universe anymore. But the guy is called Buraz Underling, and Buraz means like brother. It's like a formal way of calling somebody brother in Croatian. Otherwise, it's like brat. Brat is like the slang for that. Like bratva, like an arrow. Bratva is the brotherhood. I don't know if anybody watches Arrow. Yeah. So Buraz is brother. So
I've had those.
So the group might be called the Buraz or the I don't know, maybe the Buraz gang or something like that.
I almost got my keyboard all wet.
Because of Thomas saying, "Oh, you see plenty of monologues in Fear the Walking Dead." Yeah.
No, Bridget. I mean, Thomas is
Yeah,
funny, but no,
thank
Bridget
you.
almost made me spit take.
Did I miss that? Brats? I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah,
I've had
she's like,
those.
I've had those.
Brats. Oh, you're in Wisconsin now,
I'm in Wisconsin right
but you have
now.
to say it right. You have to say brats, like kind of like
Rats.
No, that's Illinois, Dave.
it's the same general region.
Aiden in the chat
say that
throwing
here.
out some
Come say
Better
that here.
Call Saul.
You know what? New York City is the same as Jersey, Dave.
First of all, there's
Oh,
Ooh.
Geography much, Dave?
Listen, it's like-
ouch.
nobody
See,
believes
Dave's
you.
from Jersey.
Nobody
Dave's
believes you.
from Jersey, so that's not insulting to him. He's like, yeah, Jersey's
Listen,
great.
I was born in New York. I was born in New York. This is how we talk in New York.
Stop it.
What does he say?
Look at how he
Bridget
spelled Bridget's name.
is drinking from a mustard container. I love how that made a callback. Something he said in Discord.
Oh my gosh.
This-
Oh my gosh.
uh,
We were talking about all the different ways to spell Bridget, and you're like, well, actually, the traditional way
is
Thomas comes in with like 37 letters.
yeah, it's BRIODHIDHE.
Okay.
Aiden throwing out a Better Call Saul reference says they took the zip line to Belize.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Aiden.
Aiden.
No, just no, Aiden. No. Unfortunately, too bad for that guy.
I hate
So,
when people think, what?
do we have
What?
everybody's
Takira, why do you
impressions?
hate-
Oh, you didn't have my impression. That's fine. Obviously, I liked it. There's a lot of things about this episode you can like. There's a lot of unanswered questions, which I love. There's meaning things that happen visually, not via dialogue, that are shown, and if you're not carefully watching, you could be like, oh well, whatever. What was that? Who cares? But some things like the address that Pearlie is looking at when it's the Oliver Street address in the Two Bridges section in Manhattan. It's right near Worth Street, kind of near Chambers Street. Very cool. What's significant about that is you don't even need the number for that street because that street is only 2 blocks long in Lower Manhattan. So I already know exactly, well, why don't we show? And it's just the dumbest thing.
Hi, Heather.
Let me just show you.
Hey Heather.
Hey, Heather. Let me show you this. This is crazy. The address that Pearlie is looking at on the show is this right here. Okay. Mariners Temple Baptist Church. It's this. This is Oliver Street right here. This small street in Lower Manhattan. So, like right here. So we don't know what that is. The name on the address is Lowell, I think it is. Lowell
I couldn't make out the first
Armstrong,
name.
Loel. So I guess we'll find out more. I drew an arrow to show you that it's a one-way street.
Oh,
and it's only
okay.
2 blocks long. That's Oliver Street right here. Madison Street.
Madison Street.
Worth Street.
God,
And
please
it's
no.
yeah, and this
Oh,
is
look there's 2 pizza places right within walking distance.
and and this area is called Two Bridges because it's right near the Manhattan Bridge right here and the Brooklyn Bridge right here. So, and it's kind of near Chinatown around here. So, yeah. So you have, if you are a New Yorker, if you've ever been to New York, you have kind of like a mental picture where some of these things are and what they might look like pre-apocalypse. So anyway, let's stop sharing. And I had that prepared in advance. And I'll show you some other things. Just at least one other screenshot.
Shauna wants to know, do you think the walkers only follow the roads one way?
Yeah. And actually that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Why don't we go to that shot? So when Maggie in the beginning is having her moment, obviously, but also some of the behavior that she noticed, one of the behaviors that she noticed right away, which I thought was hilarious, was as she's looking across the Hudson, because she's on the Jersey side. Let's give you a little visual. You see like all these walkers, this herd of walkers going up the West Side Highway, like near Battery Park probably, kind of near the Statue of Liberty, but they're all going in orderly fashion down in one way on the West Side Highway. I just thought that was really cool. I had imagined, because I didn't think of New York City as sort of they're all just going to be doing their own thing in the middle of Manhattan. Like, no, but what if they all kind of herd together and go in one direction if there's no noise, right?
Well, and there is a car actively encouraging them
later
to become
on.
a herd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is that a
Right,
callback
so
to?
Maybe that car is the reason that they're going. Cause they're going around the outskirts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're walking around the shoreline, then they're probably going all the way around.
Conceivably,
right?
yeah.
So the car could be going through the streets and gathering up by the day and taking them out, leading them out to the outer edges, and that would serve as kind of like a buffer for people trying to get on the island if they had to go through this wall of walkers that were just continually circling the outside of the island.
Right. Imagine if there was all, like most, if not all, or most of like the residents of New York City is just this walking herd, continuous walking herd, never-ending walking herd with no gaps around the city. That's crazy. It's like a force field.
Sorry, Thomas, I'm not from New York.
So,
Us Southern bumpkins don't know anything about New York City.
this salsa's from New York City.
So it's NOO York City, New York City.
Well, go away. Anyway, well, let's read some comments and let's continue this thought. Actually, sorry, before we continue, that thing that you were mentioning. So, Maggie, Negan, and the other dude, his name is Jono. Jono's the kid that they take, the junior marshal. And of course, you have that cockroach scene. You see the herd coming. And then before that, you see that little truck that is saying, thank you for tipping
Someone
us.
tipped $12.
So we got a little animation of Nicholas saying thank you.
Thank you.
Someone tipped us. I think it's Lois. It's always Lois when it says someone tipped us. Sneaky Lois. Thank you.
Lois.
Of course it's Lois.
Thank you.
So that truck that has the music is a callback to a tactic the Saviors used. They called it the Fat Lady. And so it was the Croatian version, and I should have gotten the music for it, but I didn't. I got a lot of things for this episode, but I didn't get this music.
It was extremely distorted too.
Yeah. Well, in the bar music in the beginning, I was trying to get the music for that as well. I didn't know what that was offhand. So, but anyway,
AMC didn't want to pay big time music royalties. So
they still probably did.
Shit up and stuck it on there.
They don't want to get sued again.
I mean, I'm down with
again.
it. They put all that money into individuals, so I'm all good with that.
So again, we're getting little tiny callbacks to the Saviors as a concept. And so you start to get the feeling that who has the run of the city? And is this why New Babylon hasn't stretched out to Manhattan, let's say? I don't know. But let's just keep that in the back of our minds in the meantime. Oh, did you want to read something?
No, I'm sorry. My thoughts were coming out instead of staying in.
Why don't you let them blah, blah, why don't you throw them up? So by the way, Walking Dead Eternal asked, do you think Morgan will make an appearance in Summit? Listen, I hope, but I'm not holding it. I mentioned this in our recording yesterday, which will come out at some point. I hope, but I'm not holding out hope. I'm just basking in the very good way that he exited the episode. But you'll get more on that in that episode, I think. Okay, so how about we go to, I don't know, what are we going to go to next?
Actually, can I kind of address what you said about why they haven't stretched out into Manhattan?
The New Babylon Federation?
Right. Why would they want to? Because there's plenty of available land on the what kind of resources and available, what is it about Manhattan that would make New Babylon want to stretch into Manhattan? Because there's nothing there for them resource-wise other than whatever they've scavenged there on the island. It's the danger involved with trying to take out all the walkers on the island. Would that be worth the very little bit of resources that you would get from it? So why would they want to stretch into Manhattan when they have plenty of open land around them that can be cleared for settlements or people.
That's very true.
With better resources, I'm sure.
So that's a very interesting question that might have already an answer. One is that they may have already tried. Because two, the whole idea of tranquilitas ordinis, or ordinis, the thing that's it's on their crest, the New Babylon Federation crest. Tranquilitas ordinis, he does touch on this a little bit, but it means the tranquility of order, the Roman Catholic tradition of just war theory. Now, the United States and basically some of the Western powers have adopted of themselves a modern version of tranquilitas ordinis. And what that means is it's a way of getting like-minded countries together in order to impose a framework of divine order so that to bring about a sort of not heaven on earth, but a divine order of things in order to have just peace. It's the justification of war in order to create a peacetime and install a moral framework. And ideally across the world, it is a movement of politics. So the idea is if we can get as much land as possible or as many communities or peoples or organized peoples into this principle, we can actually reestablish the world order based on a religious framework. So that's what the New Babylon Federation is operating under. It might not matter about resources. It's less about resources like the saviors were than it is about let's reestablish the world. And as long as we're starting from scratch, let's impose that new framework.
Unless you see people as a resource, right? But again, why would you try to push into one of the most dangerous, difficult to get to areas first? Why wouldn't you go around and build a buffer state around it, right? Because you can not surround Manhattan, but you can, the land side, you can surround it.
What makes you think they're not?
So why wouldn't you do that? And because of what you just said, maybe they tried to go into Manhattan. I'm just saying I don't see why they would choose that first.
I'm thinking that might be part of the reason why Pearlie has that address for Lowell Armstrong. So a brother, sister, I don't know. You don't know what it is. But it might also be the fact that they're in New Jersey, the fact that they may be trying to circle Manhattan to eventually recapture it. Maybe their big enemy is the Croat and the Buras or whatever. But
or just turn it into a, Escape from New York and just make that the prison colony and ship all your undesirables over there, and then the Croat can deal with them and have his own little fucking kingdom in there. But I guess it's the moral thing because Pearlie's way too moral for that shit.
See, but I'm starting to get the idea that it's hard to tell in this series who the good guy and the bad guy is, even when it comes down to Maggie and Negan, right? So you have this baked in idea that maybe the marshals are all about a moral good, but maybe they're a chaotic moral good. Maybe they are all about imposing this tranquilitas ordinis. Just war theory, meaning I can do bad things for good, right? When we've said this a lot in all the series, you got to do bad to do good. World Beyond was one of the things Huck said a lot. So it's starting to look like who is the good guy and who is the bad guy. Obviously, the Croat he even has his own version of a Negan lean when he's talking to Herschel. And maybe it goes to what Negan said. Maybe everybody sucks. Maybe everybody is the bad guy. And it's just a matter of perspective. So I'm actually curious to see how far this idea of tranquilitas ordinis, how far they're going to go with this idea. Because it's very possible that that's their single mode of failure. And this is not a strange thing that we've seen. We've seen, I'm sorry, so we're just going to say this as a matter of fact. We've seen across time, let's say Christian missionaries going into native populations to try to do whatever they do, let's just say, against all logic and all sense, and most of them end up getting killed because of culture clash and like it's kind of like what is it in Star Trek, the first the Prime Directive? Contact. It's like the Prime Directive, like they're violating the Prime Directive because they're not civilized enough or advanced enough. That's the right word, to be able to communicate with us on a level that won't give them like the adequate amount of culture shock, let's say, where they won't have culture shock. So
basically you're saying they're trying to build a new Puritan society.
Let's say theocracy, sure.
On the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A form of theocracy.
Because, obviously no...
Oh. 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 Oh.
Come on.
Come on. You could do it, Sharondy's internet.
Come on.
The little internet that could. We haven't had we haven't had problems in so long. My wife would say I just jinxed it again by saying that. Well, okay. Let's move on for now because we have to. No, there's no getting around it. There's no getting around it.
Sharondy's zip line was cut.
Sharondy's,
Thomas.
who said it? Thomas. Okay.
Thomas.
Let me see. Let's read some more comments. Walking to Eternal says, bad guy, I mean lol. Oh, what did he say earlier?
In Maggie's eyes, Negan will always be the bad guy.
Right. And I think maybe in Negan's eyes, Maggie was threatening to become the bad guy too. Until he said, how many... There you go. There it is.
My
It's fine.
friend Logan's on here. Hey, Logan.
Hey, Logan, how do you know Logan? Let's talk about that for a few seconds.
I ran into Logan the other day in town. I've known Logan for years, but we haven't seen each other in a long time. And it was
In
just a
Milwaukee?
nice little run-in. I'm not in Milwaukee.
I mean, I'm
not
Milwaukee,
gonna
sorry,
say where I
Wisconsin.
am, but yeah, I'm in Wisconsin though.
Oh yeah. That was
But yeah,
awesome.
so it was nice to run in. Yeah, and it was sick. It was great. I loved it.
Sick. Oh, it's raining. Oh, okay. So Sharondy's
Oh, that's why.
got cut off because of the rain. If you feel like you can, come back, and then we'll keep going. But let's start darting around this episode because I think we covered as much as we could with Tranquilitas Ordinus. But
Okay,
Please stop talking about it, Dave.
while we're still kind of in the beginning.
Stop talking about it.
Yeah, we get it.
everybody's very
We
uncomfortable.
get it.
I've noticed. Anyway,
While
especially
we're
the
still
Christians in the room. Huh?
No, not that. It was just boring.
What?
Okay, so
Hey, everybody, write in. Where's David Carranza? David Carranza, what did you think about Tranquilitas? I loved it. Dang, I can
Yeah.
always count on you. Where are you? You should be here.
Carranza's always in your corner. Where is Carranza?
Okay.
Okay, before we totally leave that scene though,
Okay.
I just want to bring up so when Marshall Armstrong is describing what Negan did, and he's like, we had these people lined up and he, bashed somebody over the head.
This was
In my
the
mind,
bar.
I'm going, actually he did it twice. Like, let's not forget about Abe.
Yeah, no, let's forget it. It's fine.
No, let's not forget about Abe.
I
Sasha was there. So like,
Yeah,
that happened. That was a thing too.
But you know what? That's actually kind of telling because the fact that he would say that was his emphasis was a pregnant woman. And I keep going back to this idea of theocracy on earth. That sort of let's establish a religious framework on earth. I can't stop thinking about it ever since I read it.
Back to the point. Okay.
What?
please stop thinking about it, Dave.
Sorry.
Dying.
Here's what's happening. This is the Matchbox 20 of conversations. You start singing the song and it's all you can think about. You know, I just can't figure.
Stop! I just got it out of my head.
I will.
Give me Santana
I
Rob
just stopped
Thomas
singing
instead, please.
You're gonna have to call on the Lord to step in. I guess they already made Sharondy's area rain to stop her.
Right now.
The Lord sent a sign to tell you to stop talking about this by kicking off Sharondy.
please.
No, but that's his focus. You should be affected by this because a pregnant lady got murdered, a pregnant lady's husband got murdered in front of her. So that's what. And she's telling this to people who gamble, alcohol, drugs, and whoring. Like the offenses that he lists off right before he throws Michelle Hurd's character into the walkers. So
Let's talk about Michelle Hurd.
have you heard? It's Michelle Hurd.
Have you heard? It's
She was in
Michelle
Star
Hurd.
Trek Picard.
She was on
Yes,
Bones.
yes. Among other things, David.
Meaning in nuptials with Garrett
I'll have
Dillahunt.
I'll have you know
Yeah,
that she is
Sharondy
most
would bring that
famous
up.
for being in an episode of Charmed. I couldn't wait to bring this
That's
up.
fine.
I was
That's
so
fine.
excited.
Takira's like,
where you at,
gotcha,
girl?
got him.
Where you at?
Takira's like, got him.
She played Katya in Little Box of Horrors. Thank you.
Little box
Anyway.
of horrors?
Horrors. It was
Horrors?
a Charmed episode. Anyway,
Oh.
she was also in Raising Hope, which I knew that Sharon D would love. And great, she's back.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I knew it.
Yes.
Yeah. She was also on an episode of Bones.
She
That was
was on
where
an
I-
episode.
But who wasn't
She's
on an
been
episode
in a
of Bones?
ton of procedurals, like a ton.
Me. I was not.
But she's actually most famous for being Monique
On
Jeffries
Charmed.
in on Charmed. Monique Jeffries in
So
Law
she-
and Order SVU, baby.
So she had a long-term
Okay,
role
I
on.
know I saw her like more and more recurring. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
more
also
recurring
more
roles.
recently. She was on
Yeah.
that show Blind Spot. She was in Ash versus the Evil Dead.
I saw that
She's- I mean, she's been.
I definitely didn't say that.
Oh, she was in Jessica Jones for an episode. She's
Oh,
all over the place.
okay.
Oh,
She's
dang.
all over the
Okay.
place.
Okay.
But
And
lots
yet,
of procedurals.
she like died in this episode. It's just-
I was so
know.
sad.
Garrett Dillahunt
It
got
was so
like
sad,
wanted
two
to stick
seasons,
around.
2-3 seasons, and she got 2 seconds.
Can I have boot knives?
For
Is what I
Maggie's
want.
boot knives.
Please, I
That
want
was
Maggie's
awesome.
boots so
Yes.
bad.
I
need
want
those
that.
boots
You
in
know
my
those boot
life.
knives
So
fail
cool.
more than you think, and in the most
Look,
spectacular
here,
way.
I don't care, Dave.
I don't care.
I
They
just
look
want to
awesome.
accidentally
They just
cut
look cool.
myself with my
them
boot.
so bad.
So you know that's what
Like
would happen.
you're like trying to scratch the back of your leg, and then you're like, ah, fuck.
Ah, shit! It went through my leg. Ah, told you. Fails more often.
Now I have now I have capris.
But Dave, it was really cool. Why don't you understand me?
No,
I looked
they were
so
so
cool when I did it. When I stabbed myself.
Right.
Like,
How's that working out
so
for you?
cool.
Well, they had to cut the leg off. We don't have advanced surgery.
Looked
This is
really
crazy.
cool. Right up until I cut myself.
Right up until I impaled myself on it. Yeah,
But I looked so cool before that.
yeah. I could shave my
Sharon,
legs
when
with the
you were
back of
coming
my.
back-
It's like-
When you're coming back, I was just mentioning that Michelle Hurd was in an episode of Raising Hope. And I don't know if her and Garrett were married before that or after that.
I'm
If
not
that was
sure.
like how they met, I have no idea.
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
look into that. But
Don't you know this,
They're a
Sharon?
power couple. I don't study Garrett. I'm sorry.
It's a perfect
Oh,
smoke
Diana
screen.
Elfman.
I'm apologizing a lot tonight for things I don't do.
Hey, did you like this
Sorry,
episode? Yeah, I liked
the
it. You're
show
back in our
more
good
than
graces.
fear.
I'm still gonna go on this tangent just a little bit, not necessarily TO, but don't the marshals seem? First of all, okay, when you look at Negan's charges, killing a magistrate and 4 others, right? And you look at Negan and he says, "It's not what you think. It's not what they say," is what he says to Maggie. Do you like? Is your instinct? And I'm asking all of you and the chat: is your instinct to believe Negan
Yes.
over the marshals?
Well, why
Yes.
would he lie to Maggie? She already knows the worst of him. Like, why would he feel the need? Oh no, I wouldn't do anything like that now. No, she knows fucking better than that. That's why she went and got him to help. So
Okay.
I don't feel like that at all. Like, no.
Okay, now this is a 2-parter. If it was the case that the marshals were responsible for whatever fate befell Annie and her kid, now do you believe maybe what the marshals say?
Well, I guess that would depend on your perspective. Negan's perspective is different than theirs. Negan's perspective,
Right.
if they did something to hurt Annie and his kid, then he'd be perfectly justified in murder. It wouldn't be murdering in cold blood. He'd be getting revenge,
Right,
right?
Right.
In his viewpoint. So no, it wouldn't be what the marshals are saying.
right. And isn't it interesting how the show is, in a new way, bringing us the concept of... Remember what they were saying about Negan? Some of the showrunners were saying about Negan at the time that had we started Negan out on from his perspective, it would have been we would have sided with him. And here we are, automatically siding with him. Like automatically he isn't the bad guy. But maybe but by the end of this, we might find ourselves in a spot where, well, we don't really know. But obviously we're with Negan.
Well,
In this instance.
well, we've always said like Negan's a lot of things. You might not like him, but he's not a liar.
Right.
He's never lied.
Well, I don't think it's about
He's always
lying.
honest about.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm saying, well, you're asking if we believe him. The alternative is he's lying and we don't believe him.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's not, yeah, Negan's a lot of things, but he's never lied about anything.
Right. Right.
I also want to say it's been 12 years since, well, I mean, what? Say 9 years since that shit went down. And he's experienced a lot in that 9 years. And I'm sorry, but the experiences that he's had will change people in their perspective and how they think about things. Like, yeah, he was a piece of shit back in season 7 and 8, but maybe he did learn something, you know? He did change. People can change. It does happen. Especially in the kind of world of like the apocalypse. Look at how Maggie's changed. Look at how everybody's changed. It does happen. And you can't make up for the things you've done. He's done it. It happened, but that was before, So, does he still have the capability of being that person in the right circumstances? Sure. But is he that person right now? I don't think so.
It depends on your standard. And if your standard is TO, being hung up.
He's not in a place of power anymore. When he was Negan,
Right.
he was in a place of power. He's not that person anymore. He doesn't have that base. Should he perhaps get that base again? Maybe. Especially if Annie and his kid are dead.
Right. Right. And yeah, and you kind of don't know what to make of it by then, because you want to sympathize with him. You obviously do. That's how we start the series.
I'm sorry. I have to let my dog out. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Takira had said, I think she had said something to the effect of, yeah, it probably isn't the way they describe it. And it probably doesn't matter, because when Pearlie Armstrong tells the punishment to Michelle Hurd's character, that is vicious. It's a far cry from what is the thing, the like an unreasonable death. In like when they give you the death penalty, it has to be painless. I forget what the exact term is. Unreasonable.
Humane.
Sorry. Yeah, but there's an actual term for it. Humane, or sorry, unreasonable torture. Like, it's, anyway. You're supposed to dispose of or sorry, put down prisoners that get the death penalty in a painless fashion. Let's say.
In a humane
Well,
way.
I mean, they hung people.
Right, but the
at the
punishment.
border
But
and
that
displayed
was
them.
if they did it correctly
In front of this
it
town
was
square.
painless.
Right. Yeah, it
If
could be.
hanging is
True.
done properly, it is supposed to be painless.
Well, even
And
Pearlie
it's-
mentions that's the least of it, and that's what the least of what one
Now, hanging him upside down and cutting him in half, that's not painless.
from groin to head, alive and slowly. Right. That was my point.
Yeah.
That's not painless.
Which does challenges your perceptions on who the good guys are and who the bad guys are, too. It pushes you. It keeps pushing you to and fro to figure out who is the good guy and who is good. I like that. I like that. I don't know what's going on here.
I mean, one of the things we love about these shows is that it's ultimately everybody's gray, right? Same thing with, like, say Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad
Right.
and Game of Thrones. Everybody's gray. You don't have good guys and bad guys. It's all perspective, and it's all a gray area. Everybody has good and bad in them.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you first.
I was gonna say it's not as comic book as most, like your superheroes. You know what I mean? It's superheroes. You got your good guys and your bad guys. This is a very gray area.
Yeah, and as long as the show can keep you on a track, right? Because if you are stumbling about trying to, I mean, similar to the conversation about logistics and time, the passage of time, so too is we have to be able to glom ourselves onto at least as a guide to say, let's say Negan and Maggie. Okay, we're following their journey. Their journey is just enough for me to want to follow them, and so we do. So, so far so good, but I still have the voice of Rachel in my head saying, "I just want my good guys to be good and my bad guys to be bad." So they are gonna have to, in some way, give us a little glimmer of who. Just tell me who I should root for, and who I should go. Boo! We don't like you. So, and it could be everybody.
Bad. Crowlette bad.
How do we know?
Maggie and Negan good.
What if they're the best of a bad situation too?
Did you see the guy that was running across the rooftop? They were like slicing him up.
Remember
That's
when?
bad.
Remember when we thought that was a walker, like a variant in the teaser? Fair enough. It was just like a couple frames, but that was one of the dudes we thought, oh my god, it's a what do you call it? A para. What's the dudes that do the acrobats? Starts with the Parkour. It's a parkour variant.
Oh,
do you remember?
The para thing threw me off.
Dude,
I'm like,
man,
what
I'm
are
having
you
problems with
talking
words. Right, Rachel?
All I could see was Michael Scott. All I could see was Michael Scott doing parkour in the office.
Cue the GIF in the. Anyway.
the what?
Anyway, Mario says the Crow is great. I have such high hopes with the character. I do. I love the actor. I don't remember his Croatian name.
Yes,
but
he's the ultimate that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is that guy.
And you know what? I love when I'm just going to show this to you. No podcast audience is not going to be able to understand. I mean, I love the way he looks at Herschel. He kind of looks at him askew. He kind of tilts his head like this, and he to the right, cocks it this way. Then he
super creepy.
Then he cocks it that way. Then he does a little Negan lean, looks at him this way. But it's just so smooth, and he's talking all throughout. He's just such a great dude. He's such a great actor. You're going to zip line?
Thank you, Thomas.
What?
Thank you.
It's GIF, not GIF, right,
Not
Thomas?
GIF.
Right.
It's a gift, dude.
Anyway, Thomas says, T.O. referring to me. No, Sean is saying, not for the most of my life here in Florida. I think they finally quit using old Sparky in my left. I have no idea what this is referring to. But anybody else can find
The electric chair.
The electric
That's
chair.
the electric chair in Florida.
I'm not familiar with the term.
Really?
Haul ass?
That's its name. Old Ted Bundy
Old
got a
Sparky,
ride on
yeah.
old Sparky.
Must be a southern thing.
Even I knew that.
Just kidding. I don't know why I thought of like a dog. That's stupid. Okay.
Yeller.
Exactly. Old Sparky. I'm like, oh, what a good dog. Arguably very mean. Okay. Thomas says we can all agree that Herschel Jr. is a douchebag.
Hey, I hate you and love
Look,
you,
What?
Herschel Jr. looks just like a
I don't
little
see
brown
that. Where did he
hair,
say
Ricky
that?
Schroeder.
Oh, I didn't click on the
He
right
looks
thing.
just like Ricky Schroeder to me. Like when Ricky Schroeder was young, he looks just like.
Should I
Ricky Schroeder.
block Thomas for
Just
saying
put
that?
Ricky
just
Schroeder.
put some brown hair on him, and he looks just like Ricky Schroeder. Every
Who's
time I
Ricky
look, that's all I
Schroeder?
can think about when I'm watching it. He was in Silver Spoons.
Oh, right.
Oh, my mom just
Rick
said that.
Schroeder.
She's like,
Yeah.
I don't
He's
think
called
he
Rick
looks
Schroeder.
anything- I don't see
He
that
likes
at
Rick Schroeder.
all.
God, just put brown hair on Ricky Schroeder. He looks just like Herschel Jr.
Oh, God, with that little train set in the fucking... Anyway.
I love
I
Silver
don't see that
Spoons.
at all.
Oh, saying thank you, Heather.
NYPD Blue. That's what I know him from.
Whom? Rick Schroeder. Yes, that's right.
Ricky Schroeder.
Okay.
It's,
Heather.
Dave, it's graphical interface, not graphical interface.
It's Jeff. It's Jeff. Heather says cruel and unusual punishment. So she says cruel and unusual too. That's the term. Cruel and unusual punishment. That's the.
Oh, I thought you were trying to think of
I
the
thought you were
opposite.
trying to say the opposite.
Yeah,
Oh,
me
Jinx.
too.
I was trying to say it's a far cry from cruel and unusual punishment. Gutting or sorry, sawing someone from crotch to neck.
Okay. You were like reason. It's a reasonable. The reasonable. The.
Yes, it's a far cry from reasonable. Okay. Yeah, Jeff. Stop it! Now everybody's see walking dead. Don't take Thomas seriously. It's fine. Thomas is in love with him. It's fine. Let's keep going. Maybe okay. Let's take a moment to look at this. I went to Google Maps to actually look at Pete's Crab Shack, the Peter's Crab and Steakhouse, the Chinese seafood boil and steak grill in New Jersey, 73221. It's out of business, so I can give you this number. But also the Easy Stay Motel is called the Holmdel Motor Inn, and it looks like it's out of a scene from the show. Right here. And go. Pretty cool. I mean, this is the whole thing. This is all filmed right here. The motel in the middle, and the sports bar, the office here, the sports bar on the right. It's exactly the way it was filmed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Except I noticed that HBO sign is missing from the episode.
I'm sorry. Is it showing it? Actually, I don't... Sorry. HBO's missing what? Sorry?
It does.
Right,
says
there
HBO
was
right
an
there. It's
HBO
not on
on
the
the
show,
sign, on the motel
obviously.
sign.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's missing that in the show,
Yeah.
right?
In the
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, I think it took some liberties. But now that it's out of business, they can do whatever the hell they want now. So it's like they can, but the motor inn is actually in existence. Not Peter's has been closed down though. So that's why they were able to do whatever they were able to do. So okay, and go. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so where do we go from here? Because there's a lot to talk about with this episode.
Well, let's just take it from the beginning. I really would like to talk about the intro.
The title sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about the pre-show portion, right, Maggie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the opening scene, right?
Yeah.
That's as
So
far as we've gotten.
I loved. I know. We're off the rails. Dave keeps going into long soliloquies about
So more about Tranquilitas
the
Ordinus.
New Babylon.
Tranquility,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Anyway.
So on the
Dave's so
poster,
prohibition for some reason. So
yeah, actually. So more about Tranquilitas. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh god.
The title sequence.
no, I'm asleep.
So what did you guys? Let's start with impressions on the title sequence. Did you guys like it? Did it give you some?
I loved it. I loved it.
It was
Loved
awesome.
it.
Told the story of the
New York.
apocalypse. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I loved that it began with the eye opening.
just
The
like
Walking
Yeah,
Dead.
that was
It was
awesome.
great.
just like on the revamped title sequence for The Walking Dead.
And
in a sense.
we had the bicycle girl. clone
Sort of, yeah.
crawling across the
In Central Park.
Oh yeah, by the
Central
fountain.
Park. Yeah.
Yeah, the Central
Yeah.
Park fountain. That's right.
The Not Friends fountain.
Yeah. No, the Not Friends fountain.
It's
That's
not
right.
the same fountain.
It's not. I think that was
Yeah.
But I just like the fact that half zombie was trying to, chomper, whatever you want to call it, was just trying to get at
Groaner.
the groaner. That's a New Jersey slang. We don't like that. But he's going after the
Groaner.
ravens,
It sounded
the
like-
crows.
Fine.
It's Jif, by the way.
Emily,
I
no.
hate you. I hate you.
But yeah, well, kind of like the skunk walks. They just brought me back to the skunk walkers from King County, Fear the Walking Dead. I'm like, they'll just go for anything. But
Skunk walkers.
speaking of that, I like the elk just roaming around Manhattan in this title sequence at the very least.
Okay. So are there deer in Central Park? Like, are there deer in Manhattan?
No.
So I'm wondering, how did the deer get over there? I guess they swam across the river.
There are
Because the bridges were blown up.
bridges are blown up. It's a
And
really
the
good.
tunnels
Green
are
deer,
blown
they
up. Oh.
flew in.
Well, no, we have the Central Park. I think the Central Park Zoo is still in existence, so it could be that there's
Okay,
that they probably
so
skipped the
I'll
zoos.
buy
Yeah.
it from the Central Park Zoo. Okay.
So, and who knows what else has been breeding as a result of that too.
Well, I mean, in The Last
Or
of
what
Us, we saw
else?
giraffes, so
Yeah, it'll be like that Last of Us scene.
Yeah, but they can't do that. It's just like, you just copied The Last of Us.
I would love to see a fucking bear or a panther just like roaming the streets of New York, tearing shit up. That would be awesome.
Oh man, I hope we're not giving too much away because wow, that would be fucking really great. Like a fucking great ape or something. Some
you
shit.
see, I just want to see a bear fucking terrorizing some shit. That would be awesome.
Well, so in this episode, and it wasn't immediately clear to me because I wasn't really, I don't know, when I was first watching, it was really dark. But in the dry cleaning shop near the endish, well, one of the walkers, of course, has a plastic bag over its head, indicating that they probably suffocated itself while they were alive. But the other one,
Or someone did it to them.
good point. Jeez, going by the terms of this show too. The other one had a mouse eating the walker from the inside out, and as it was
That was awesome.
going over John, I didn't know that was a tail. I thought that was something.
Right? It was like, ew.
It was
like
a rat's tail.
slime or something. Yeah, it was a rat
Until
tail.
I heard it squeak. I heard it squeak.
I
and
heard it
was
squeak
like,
too.
Oh,
Ugh.
and then you could see it. Like,
Yeah,
from
the little head
the
out-
other point. Yeah, he like spins around in the mouth and then pokes his head out. It was
Yeah.
so cool.
Oh yeah, 100%. Which it just brings to mind something that was said. I think it was Eli Journet said it, and it was that well, first of all, the roaches having supremacy, but also the rats, like, which makes me a little bit afraid. Like, well, not afraid, but like that little thing that people say, oh, the rats to have the run of the place. And like, excuse me. But I guess it is post-apocalypse, so
I mean,
guess maybe they do.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it New York is just barely holding on, keeping the supremacy over the rats and
Must be a
roaches
southern
anyway,
thing.
isn't it?
Well,
And what about all the alligators in the sewers? Like,
you Southern people, you just want alligators to be everywhere. In Jacksonville, go Bortles and stuff.
um,
I say we have a healthy coexistence.
Jacksonville might do better if they had an alligator playing on their team. I don't know.
I say they harness the alligators for transportation, and it would solve so many problems. But let's go back.
Skiing.
Let's go back to New York, though. That would be actually kind of insane. Can I just say, as somebody who lives here in New York, this is such a treat for me. It's literally filmed in New York for the most part. Most are recreated in New Jersey. I know that they filmed a lot in New Jersey, but it's just pretty sweet to feel like I'm in that setting, let's say, or that we're in this movie and the lights are out. And by the way, it kind of reminds me of the few times that I've been alive when they've had power outages in New York City. The whole place is dark. The whole city is dark. And for the most part, it's quiet. Depending on where you are. I mean, if you're in Manhattan, the freezers are going bad. You're giving out ice cream in the middle of the street, which does happen. And it does go back to what the Croat says to Herschel, that it does galvanize the city. And we've seen that. We've seen that in 9/11. We've seen that across time. We've seen that during the blackouts that we used to have. So I am sometimes curious about what this city would be like under that kind of crisis. Like, I am curious to know, and I want to see more of that. That heartens me. Like, when the rest of the world goes to shit and everybody's treating everybody shitty, I kind of want to see New York pull together in this way. It's like Spider-Man when the guys on the Staten Island ferry like protected his identity. I think it was the Staten Island ferry. Or no, it was the subway when he was holding the subway back with his web arms and stuff like that, and they were like carrying Spider-Man down. I love seeing that shit. That is
2 little kids gave him his mask back and everything.
That's why it's in a movie.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you're right. You're right, Rachel. You're absolutely right. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. It's fine.
I mean, I've seen pictures of
movies and TV so much more because real life sucks.
Yeah,
but like, I mean, you see
Yeah, it
video of
does.
like the New York blackouts and stuff, and you see people out there with chargers. People that might be lucky and still have power, or have a generator or something, and they set up and let people charge their phones and
yeah, that happened.
all that kind
actually.
of shit. Like, I mean, community does happen
Yeah.
when shit like that goes down.
And that's all they were reporting on too. Like, it's so easy to talk about the bad shit. Like some people that threw garbage cans at the glass doors and trying to get all the shit. When meanwhile people were just giving it away. The corner stores were giving it away there because it was going to go bad anyway. The ice cream, the popsicles and stuff like that. So, but more than anything else, people like me, were setting up surge protectors so that people could charge on solar chargers and stuff like that. It happened, and it's pretty cool. Anyway, but let's move on. Let's read some comments because I haven't skipping. But Shauna says, Planet of the Apes meets TWD. Next week's fan fiction. Laugh my ass off. Well, next week's fan fiction might actually come true. Thomas says, you think who said it? Too bougie for me. Oh, I don't know what he's referring to. But Walking Dead Eternal says, roaches gross me out completely. 100%. What did you guys
I was totally down with Negan. Negan was like, nope.
Nope. Number one comment
That
of,
would be
of the
my
night.
exact reaction to that.
Yeah, same here.
Nope.
I'm not used to that shit. Fuck that. Water bugs my ass. It's not a water bug. It's a roach, bitch. Anyway, Mayday's.
I'm having flashbacks.
He's an outdoor bug. He's got his
Can't.
boots on.
Oh, from Rocheritas?
Nope.
Anyway.
Yeah. Rochero.
He
Rocheros.
also visited.
Rochero.
He also don't be. You guys are making it sound like the restaurant is really gross. Or dirty.
No,
We're
they were
sitting on
really
the patio.
nice.
It was
That's
a
fine.
bug on the patio.
We're not saying what the restaurant is, so let's just be clear.
He
No, the
also
restaurant's amazing.
visited. He also
just happened to
visited
be a
us
bug
on
there.
our patio while we were sitting
It's
outside.
true. This
Yes.
is true. He came back to
In
taunt
your
me
room.
Yes,
Ugh.
on the balcony. Yeah.
on the balcony.
Anyway, Shauna says alligators aren't that dangerous. They just get taunted by idiots walking their dogs too close to the water and people feeding them their dogs. Thomas says, you don't live in New York. You live in an uppity suburb of Brooklyn. Excuse the fuck out of me. First of all, Brooklyn is the most populous borough in New York City, and we are the best. Boom! I know that doesn't mean anything. I can say that. It doesn't mean that it's true. But anyway, I'm not going to blur it. You live in this. You live in the suburb of New York City. Hold on a second. You don't talk to me like that. Anyway, we're gonna fight now. Meanwhile, this is how we talk. Whatever. This is how we express our love. We just give each other shit. Anyway, Shauna says we're here in Florida. We just know if there's a water, stay away. The mosquitoes are the real a-holes.
Mosquitoes are assholes
Yeah,
everywhere.
we have them here. Yeah.
Yeah, and imagine if there was no pest control anymore. Like, imagine the mosquitoes taking over that. Fun fact: the most dangerous animal on the planet is mosquito. It's responsible for more deaths than any other animal on the planet.
Yeah, just because of its reach. By the way,
diseases.
Once Shauna said that, I just started scratching my ankle instinctively. I'm serious right now. I'm like, is it on me? Oh no, there's a bump there. No, it's because you scratched yourself to death, and you start turning into a walker. Okay, so she says they found the Croat to pull together. That is so New York. That's kind of what I was saying. What if the Croat is their mafia, and that's how they pulled together? Anything is possible. So Thomas says Staten Island is where God would give the USA an enema. I always call it the polyp of New York City. Staten Island. Now listen, I have nothing against Staten Island. We like to bust your balls. You're on the way to New Jersey when we go shopping for tax-free shopping in New Jersey right now. So nothing against you guys in Staten Island. I'm just a Brooklyn boy trying to give you shit. You can give me shit all you want with our hipsters. It's fine. I'm giving it to you free of charge.
Don't forget,
I'll be right
Dave.
back, you guys.
Okay.
Much like that really bad Kevin Smith movie, you are a Jersey girl.
It's true. Can't argue that. I was born in Brooklyn, and we immediately moved to New Jersey, northern New Jersey. Yeah, until I was 11. Heather says when I moved down here, they told me they were palmetto bugs. Exactly. They're roaches. You're so right.
No, they're water bugs.
You shut your mouth.
I won't.
Shauna says I tried to kill him. Thomas says not true. That bat from Wuhan killed. Okay, well, yeah.
Don't say it out loud.
I think across time the mosquito has killed more people. That's
We're demonetized.
point. Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Thomas. Anyway, Shauna says you're welcome, Dave. Yeah, it needed a little scratch, my ankle. I was making fun of New York Dave. Thomas says Jersey Girl rock, great movie. Oh boy, oh no way. But Takira is a Jersey girl.
Obstinate.
And Shauna says roaches and palmetto bug and roaches are different. Agreed. They don't exist. I think water bugs and they're just all roaches wearing different accessories. That's all. They're like trying to trick you. One's wearing a funny hat. One is under a palmetto grove. That's it.
Palmetto bugs are like 2.5 inches long.
Yeah.
And fly. So
roaches
That's
fly
the
too
worst part.
sometimes.
When they fly. It's terrifying.
I have a whole story about my friends and her cat and tried to catch the roach and then it flew and the cat just jumped almost out the window. It's because it was so frightened from this flying fucking roach thing. Okay,
Thomas,
so
I love you, but we're not reading that. I love you.
Nope. Yeah, that's why I didn't even acknowledge it. Did you? Did you understand?
You're hilarious, my man.
Okay, I tried to read the blurb, all the complete blurb at the bottom of the wanted poster for Negan, and I couldn't get all of it. All I could get was, "Do not trust him. Take any action to evade justice. He'll take any action to evade justice." Something about something shaven, though he blah, and then it also says prone to extreme violence at the top, and charisma. Do not trust him, etc. So, but
he's got charisma points.
But that's the thing. How do they know all of this? Is the question. So he mentioned something. He mentioned something about Ginny's origin, like how he found Ginny. He found refuge in a farm. The marshals were already after him, and Ginny, Ginny, okay, we have another Ginny in the universe. Just dropping that out there. Ginny wanted to go with him after witnessing her father's death by people, not by walkers, not by animals. And so he was already wanted at that time, too. So whatever it was, it might have been earlier on in his travels from, let's say, our group, and whatever happened along the way with Annie, maybe, again with the Marshals. I'm not sure. I'm assuming. So
Maybe the Marshals hung her dad upside down and sawed him half all the way through, and that's why she freaked out. Because that would be pretty fucking freaky to find if you found your dad hanging upside down, sawed in half.
well, yeah, but what happens to absolute power, right? In this world. Going back to tranquilizous ordinance. Anyway.
I'm not egging it on.
No,
I know, I realize that. But somebody has to say it. No, they don't. But it's gonna be May. All right.
Don't bring JT into this.
I think it's a little too late for that. Matchbox 20, JT. Is no one safe from tranquilizous ordinance?
So, Pearlie Armstrong, he reminds me of Emil. Like the way he speaks and everything,
And
like
dressed?
the peculiar syntax that he has, the same. Well, that's a social contract, and we entered into that social that kind of thing.
Right.
Like he totally
Yeah,
reminded
yeah.
me of Emil, which was awesome.
And I like it. I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I like a good hog stew. That's okay.
Yeah. With Tabasco sauce, Walter.
You know, though, there's something about that, though. Do you think maybe, okay, this is going to be such a wild thought, but do you think maybe Emil was part of this order, this New Babylon Federation at some point, then just decided to go rogue out west? Anything's possible.
could
I
have
don't even
been.
think it existed. I don't even think it existed when Emil was bounty hunting.
I wonder
Yeah,
what.
that was like there's a huge time
Yeah,
discrepancy.
true. But maybe they started early. I mean, like, assuming that they lasted as long as they did in terms of trying to establish some sort of order. I mean, and that level of stability over time has to have had at least to be able to do what they're doing. They've had to have existed at least for a while, maybe a few years at least. So I guess it's in the realm of possibility. I mean, they look in terms of the dress, they look exactly alike. Wouldn't you say?
Emil and
Pearlie? Curly and Grits and whatever, all the marshal. He looks like a marshal, essentially.
they have a very similar look, yes, but I wonder if that's just like this is the bounty hunter starter pack.
The cosplay.
You get a leather duster. You get a hat.
They all went to Spirit Halloween and picked out the same outfit.
Literally gonna say that. They raided a Spirit Halloween and decided, hey, that's what I am now. I'm a bounty hunter. I'm a marshal. Want to fight? We're the same. What does the costume say? Douchebag who wants to be a cowboy. Whatever. Anyway. Tranquilus Ordinus. Thomas.
Dave, this is cruel and unusual punishment.
We haven't gotten there yet. You could handle it. You could take a little more of this. The bracelet. Whose
I
bracelet?
think it was Annie's.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was Annie's.
I
Yeah.
think it was
Okay.
Annie's.
We're piecing together the things that aren't said.
I'm pretty sure the red shirt's dead. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah,
to see
I
Annie
mean,
again.
I said back in season 11C that she was a fucking red shirt and was going to be dead.
Yeah.
I guess they just waited
She's
until
like
after the show.
The reddest of red shirts.
You basically put in an order, and the wheels of progress finally got to your order and made it happen for this show.
I mean, he didn't seem. There was no urgency to find her. Like he seemed to know, you know, right where she is.
Plus
So-
I got what I deserved.
Mm-hmm.
line.
I paid for what I did.
Yep.
Essentially, is what he said.
My
whatever,
guess
yeah,
is
whatever it was.
my guess is that we're gonna have a loop here or a full circle type thing, and the Croat is like beat her to death with a baseball bat or something, and took his kid. You know, maybe he's just like, I fuck it, give up, or whatever. But that would be kind of poetic, wouldn't it? That would be why
Wow.
he paid for it.
We all assume that what Pearlie is saying, right? was about Glenn and Maggie, right? Is that what you're saying? Could
What?
Is that what you were saying? We all assumed that it was
What?
about Glenn and Maggie, but could it have been Negan and Annie that they were talking about?
Well,
What?
except
That
No.
Pearlie was talking about. Why not?
No, Pearlie was talking about what Negan did,
Yeah,
not what
but-
was done to him.
But who is Negan in this scenario? Is it the Croat? Because he's doing the whistle.
I mean, I'm
he has a
thinking.
picture of Negan.
Oh,
He knows
well, he
That
could
doesn't
still be
matter.
doing the we are Negan
Yes.
Right,
And
I'm thinking the Croat is the one who spread the story about Negan
thing.
you see what I'm saying, Rachel?
beating Glenn to death.
The only reason why we think that
Wait,
is
I'm-
because just earlier we got the visual of that event happening in Maggie's nightmare, let's say, and Herschel being carried away. But what if the show was saying, no, these are separate things. Maybe Negan is the one who was victimized. And then to top it all off, they blamed it on Negan. Because
mean-
this is going to lead to an ultimate question, though. I'll get to it, but sorry, Sharon, go ahead.
I was that's not the kind of thing he would even tell Maggie. He wouldn't say like, I know because I suffered the exact same thing you did. You know, he wouldn't say that kind of thing. But
Because you wouldn't want to compare
Right.
pain.
right, he wouldn't.
No.
He wouldn't want to. And so I mean, maybe that's what happened. Maybe maybe
still
they
con-
pinned it on Negan, and that's why he's on the run. But it was really the Croat.
And the Croat maybe works with the marshals, or at least the magistrate, and they pinned it on him. And they said, hey, we can describe him soup to nuts. We lived with this guy for a couple of years.
I just picture the Croat like
In the
dressed up
accent.
with like a bonnet, like as a woman, like
I am Negan.
came and he,
Oh, I'm Maggie.
and he killed us. Like, just,
And he killed my husband right in front of me. My burras were watching behind me. You know, this tranquilitas ordinance.
I pictured.
So stupid. I'm so sorry. But here's the second question, and this might be a little exciting. Maybe this series might answer some of the question that we had. We had made assumptions that maybe some of the saviors went to the Whisperer side. But what if the saviors that remained didn't all perish? Except for Richie, Big Richie, we saw in season 9. But what if they all went to Manhattan? What if they said they went with the Croat and said, fuck it? That's where we are now.
I imagine
because we know some of those saviors went with the Whispers too.
Right. But it's, it's
Yeah,
technically not
yeah,
canon
exactly.
too. I mean, it's just the actors, the background actors. So, but it could answer this long time question that in canon that we all had about this. Where did they go? What happened to them? There's the assumption that they died.
But I don't think they all went with him, but I think that maybe a portion.
Enough. Yeah, and if he started all over again from Negan's crew and started taking in more people and maybe took on some of the folks that the what is it called, the runoff from the new Babylon Federation that didn't want to get on board, and they're like, fuck this religious, theocratic, harsh, cruel and unusual punishment shit just for drinking or smoking or gambling or whoring. This is the new world order. Fuck that shit. Let's go with the saviors. Let's take the other option. That could have been it. And then if you get enough numbers after how many years? 7,000 years that we're in the future? 15? I don't know at this point. 15 maybe? It's possible,
15.
right? So in that amount of time, anything is possible. So Thomas says, I just want to say this right now. And he says, maybe the Croat is Annie. Anyway, I'm Negan. Shauna says, we are all Negan, and we might not be that far off. Thomas says, Dave, sometimes a building on fire is just a building on fire. No, tranquilitas ordinance. Shauna says, except for me, he took out my favorite. I would shut his shit down. Maggie couldn't even need to do anything. Thomas says, we are all the Croat. We are all Croat. I do not speak Croatian. I never had that question. Had that question? Okay. Shauna says, the background actors, you hush, Dave. Just the background actors. Well, I mean, look, they are they just the fact of the matter, they are background actors. We talked to them. So it's like, I played a Whisperer. Okay. But that doesn't mean it's the same.
Just.
Well, they are. The guys they got to eat. Anyway, Walking Dead Turtle says if they went to the Whisperers, Alpha and Beta would have killed them on sight. That is not a bad observation, actually. Because do you think the Saviors would have, in real life, like knowing the Saviors, would they have copped on to the Whisperers' antics? Ideally,
Like they copped on the
think
Negans.
Yeah, I think it depends because I mean, there's the saviors that were like the soldiers, and then there were the people that just lived in
True.
the sanctuary.
True.
So,
But I think natural
we're talking
selection would
about
have
two
weeded
different
them
groups
out.
of people.
You know what I mean? Like, I could see a lot of the Saviors, not the lieutenants, but like just average people washing out because they just can't jive with these people. I don't know, but
I mean, if you have survival instinct, you're gonna do whatever it takes to survive.
well, let's just put that all that aside. Going back to the question, do you think this is the answer that we've been looking for all this time? That this is what happened to the Saviors, essentially,
No.
or the sanctuary itself?
No, I don't.
No.
Is it because of that?
I
Because
mean,
of
like
what we heard?
maybe a couple, but no.
Yeah, no.
Okay, Charity.
Maybe. I mean, I think that maybe it's some went their own way. Some went to the Croats. Some went to the Whisperers. Some went and did their own thing. Some
Some
went
were
to
dead.
Commonwealth. I mean, who knows? Some went to fucking CRM.
And
Some went to Campus Colony. I don't know. Some went down to Fear.
and
Hung
may-
out in Texas a while.
And maybe the worst of the worst went to Manhattan and established this new saviors order. And it's possible, and if the show goes in this direction, it might be, well, exactly what Maggie says. This is the sort of thing that you can't put to bed, right? This sort of thing, because it's beyond you. You did something in front of a bunch of people, so it's not. It's like the story of somebody. Some of the sages in Judaism had mentioned something about. Well, when you speak ill of somebody, it's like taking a pillow, a feather pillow, and tearing it up in a town square, and there's winds that are blowing the feathers around everywhere. Well, it's not about the thing that you said that pertains to them. You can always try to apologize to that person, but you can't take back everybody else who heard you speak ill about that person.
Apologies don't spread nearly as quickly as the insults.
Right, exactly. So it is that sort of equivalent. You did this thing in and it's in the memory of a bunch of people, not just the victims, but the people around who enabled that act. And so it's in their memory as well. So it's beyond you now. It's gone beyond you. And it's one of those legends that carry on. So it's this monster in legend that persists beyond you. So you can't take it back. It isn't something that you can easily put to bed. It's the nightmare of everybody in this world now. So it's just something to think about. That maybe this horror from just a select few of savers that went off and maybe felt betrayed by Negan for getting captured. And so where's our leader? And so the Croat stepped up in a power vacuum and said, hey, let's do our thing. So anyway, and I don't know if you noticed, but he has his ear burned off too, similar to like Dwight.
Yeah.
I was
I'm
just
pretty
gonna
sure
ask, do we
Negan
think
ironed
Negan
him.
Did that?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, pretty sure Negan ironed him. Yeah.
That particularly harsh psycho is what he said, something like that. So Mitchell says, when the crowd said you're going to like it here to Herschel, I was like, no, stay away from him. He sounded creepy, and that was just kind of some kind of perv. What did you think about that line? You're gonna like it here, Herschel. I sound like Billy Crystal.
He was being sarcastic.
Yeah, what was that? You know what? That makes sense, Dave, because whoever was crawling on the rooftop looked very much like Billy Crystal's wife in The Princess Bride.
Right.
That's all I can
You're gonna love it here. They do a good crispy
It's Carol
bagel.
Kane. It's Carol Kane.
It's Carol Kane, right?
Carol Kane. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
So what I think he meant was, I think he knows that Herschel's parents were both badasses, and if he can turn Herschel to his side, then he's got a hell of a warrior.
Genetic
So
badass.
if he can figure out some way to get Herschel onto his side, or at least to become one of his people, I'll give you the run of the place. I'll let you do what you want. Kind of like Dwight, right? He can be his Dwight, be his second hand, something like that.
Or the Herschel from the comic books in this own version of that, maybe. I don't believe it, but I don't want to believe it. That's 100% true. I think Rachel's face says she doesn't want to believe it. Shauna says, out of the four, out of the four of you, who would still be around and which group did you join? Out of us, the hosts, Shauna says. That's unfair.
I'm a chomper.
I'm a groaner. I'll go back to my Jersey roots. That's the group I'll join.
I went and found Dr. Everett and started doing some like scientific research out and the thing. But then when they dug the trench, I made sure I was on the human side, not on the
Walker side, right?
I'm
the
hanging
savage
out
side.
I'm hanging out like a university or something, reading some books.
No, I'm on the other side of the trench. Thomas says one little savior went to the market. This is the knock knock joke, I think. No, sorry. The one little savior went wee wee where all the way home. Wait, or is that maybe that's my Morgan Jones impression? Anyway, Shauna says, what if Maggie's luring Negan as a deal to the Crow, which is something I wrote in my notes, that her initial thing,
Yeah.
she's in such
That
a
was my
crazed state.
assumption.
Yeah, that she was
Ooh.
going to trade Negan. And I think Negan knows it,
Okay.
too.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why he's asking for the reassurance that she'll take care of Jenny.
Personally. Yeah.
Ginny.
Yes.
Ginny. Can we take just a minute? Just a minute and
yeah.
acknowledge that name.
Yeah.
I liked that though, that because when Armstrong has her pinned down, she's so like frantic, as one would be. But she says like, "I need him."
Mhm.
That has more. There's more to that. Yeah,
Thank you.
I firmly am convinced that it's.
I hadn't
It's a
considered
deal.
it, but now that you said it, yeah, that sounds very, very plausible.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean? Wait, hold on. Now we have to qualify. Because I thought you meant Herschel, but you meant Negan, right? But what do you,
Right.
what do you
Right.
think that means?
To trade. She needs Negan to trade for Herschel.
What?
Oh,
I'm looking-
no, nobody's
sorry.
talking about
Oh,
Charity's fan theory.
stop.
No.
No.
I mean, we have to say it once, right?
No.
You really don't.
He's talking about your
Hashtag hate
hat.
bang.
Oh my god.
I need him.
Oh, yeah.
I need no. That would be gross. Don't bring your kid into the hate bang.
No, I meant Negan. Come on, man.
He says, "I need him to save
I
my
Negan."
son." Like gross.
Anyway, out of context reaction, obviously, but
I mean, look, I like to joke about the hate bang. I don't think it's gonna happen. Honestly, I mean, would I like it just because I want to watch everybody lose their shit over it? Yes, but do I think it's gonna happen? No.
I mean,
the tweets that would occur.
honestly, after
I
this,
know. I want to watch the
They're like
fandom
the
like just
Carol thing
implode
all
on
over
itself
again.
when it happens, but
I would burn my own ear off
would
just to not hear it.
I would disappear from social media for like a month.
I mean,
you would
look.
not hear from me, or I would not.
Rachel,
exist
where are you?
anymore.
Wait,
girl-
I
you're
would
not
be
on
gone.
Discord.
sometimes a
Gone.
girl got needs. You know what I'm saying? And you could do worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say
I
one
don't
thing.
think she could.
I will say
Yikes.
one thing. Somebody, and I think it was Eli Journet, said
The Croat would be better.
they have
than me.
chemistry.
They do. They have great chemistry.
Yeah.
I'm
Dude,
they have
sorry.
great
They have
chemistry.
great chemistry.
I know.
And
but-
like I'm not pulling the hate
Lauren
bang out
and
of my ass.
Jeffrey,
Like
yes.
in season 11, they had some serious
sparks.
I was not the only one that noticed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do I ever think it's really gonna happen? No.
No.
I would love to see it just to watch everybody fucking freak out, but other than that, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like after watching this episode, like, okay, of course it doesn't feel appropriate, it doesn't feel right, and whatever. And of course, we're just taking a break from the honest to goodness seriousness of this episode, the intensity of this episode.
I mean, it could be like a Sam and Diane situation where it's like, I hate you, slap, I hate you, slap, and then they just.
Isn't that the very definition? Anyway, but going back to that scene though, it's just, and again, I have to go back to it. The idea of who the good guy and the bad guy is. She pleads with him. She's obviously at a disadvantage. She pleads with him. She says to Pearlie Armstrong, she says, it's my son. They have my son, and I need him for essentially for my son. And then there's this weird pause. He pauses, and then he just continues to try to strangle her with his rifle, as if I don't care. I don't care. We claim to be the moral authority, but I just don't care. You're aiding and abetting. So,
Or if she's such a piece of shit that she's breaking bones everywhere she goes and leaving a trail of destruction behind her, what kind of kid is she gonna have? Who
right,
cares if she saved her
It's a
kid or not?
belief in it's a belief in moral absolutes. It's black and white to him.
right. Just war
There is
theory.
no gray.
Just war theory. That's what it is. We need to do. It's exactly what he says to Jano when they leave the bar. He says, "It's not like I wanted to do this, but we have to do this. It's not. I don't get enjoyment out of this. This is what we have to do." Because if we don't do this, the stability of the tree-lined streets of New Babylon, capital city, I think that's what it's called, New Babylon City or something. Anyway, that all of that ends up collapsing. That's why he feels he has to do this. All this order that we built over the course of years just starts collapsing because people will want to do exactly what they've been enabled to do all these years, 15 years, whatever it is, in the apocalypse. And that's me trying to sympathize with him. But otherwise, it's like I'm just comfortably sitting here judging this man for what he's doing. And yet he shoots this guy. He shoots the junior marshal, Jano. And it does look like it pains him. But he almost looks as though he's blaming Negan for having done it. So I have mixed feelings. I have totally mixed feelings about this guy. Let's go to some comments. Lois said, I heard Stephen Ogg was coming to the show. True or false? I don't think so. What do you guys think? Unless it's a flashback of some kind?
It would have to
I
be a
haven't heard,
flashback. He's
but-
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do.
This
I
isn't
do-
fear.
No, but what I mean is a new...
I do. He's got a twin.
Well, like a newly filmed scene, like a retroactively filmed
Yeah.
scene or something like
Yeah.
that. That's what I meant, not like
I do love him, so I would not be opposed to it.
So I would
yeah,
imagine
I would be
seeing it
down
in
for
like
that.
some sense what they're showing. They'd have to retcon
right.
the Croat,
The Croat,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a competition, who do you root for, Simon or the Croat so far? Like if you had to compare
Personally,
crazy,
Simon.
right?
What do you like? Who would
If-
I follow, or who's a better?
If you had a
bleed?
choice and you were a
What-
saver, who would you follow first, the Croat or Simon?
Oh,
Right? It's a tough
Oh,
it's a
man.
tough question.
Simon.
I don't
Well,
know.
we-
I don't
much
know.
more
enough
We
Yeah,
about
haven't
that.
seen enough of the Croat.
I
to
would
decide that.
I might
I
follow
don't
the
know
Croat
enough
over
about him.
Simon because he seems like he has better planning. Simon was all about killing everybody. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway,
Simon had a temper,
yeah. Something to think about though. Something to think about.
but we don't know enough about the Croat. He might have an even shorter fuse. We don't know.
Maybe.
Sorry, I'll be right back.
Okay. Thomas is hate banging episode 2, obviously lying. Emily says I would denounce myself from the fandom if what? Sorry, let's go backtrack on that.
Hate bang.
The hate bang?
I'm
Okay.
assuming the hate bang.
Shauna says I would not be okay with Negan, Maggie, XXX. I don't know. There's no limit to what I would probably watch. Anyway, Mario says if that happens, I wouldn't blame Herschel going Croats group. Okay. That would do it, to say the least. Shauna says unless he's got a diaphragm similar to her boot, then I would be okay with that outcome. Show Negan that he was not a man at the previous time. Emily says, I feel like anyone who claims to be the moral authority is never the moral authority. 100%. Thomas says, quote, I'm not going to kill you, Sheriff, because you're a husband and father, and Negan just asked me how many husbands and fathers I've killed. And I don't want to add to the list, so I'm going to run.
That was the monologue we
That's
missed.
if it was fear.
That was if this was a fear episode,
Gotcha.
that would have been her monologue.
Gotcha. Right. In that moment where he let him go. Gotcha.
And Negan just asked me how many.
Perfect. And I think that's the scene he was talking to me about. That's how Fear would have done it.
Yeah.
Shauna says Lois maybe Tales of the Walking Dead. That would be cool. Seeing a Simon one-off.
I would love that.
He was a meter maid or a U.S. Postal Service worker
Meter maid.
in a past life.
Yes.
That's my theory. Like just very drudging, like fuck you work. And
Oh, hey, sweets.
oh
Yeah,
wow,
hey,
okay.
sweet.
They were just live earlier. They were live right when we started as well. So hey, what's up, Monica, Steven? Lois says maybe. Okay, Emily says Simon acts too
Those
much.
guys.
So they say,
Steven
hey, y'all,
wasn't-
much love from me and
yeah.
Mrs. Sweet. Y'all talking about the Saviors? Those guys, yeah, and you're one of them.
Yep.
Will
Those
we
guys.
see you with the Croat? Steven?
He signed an NDA.
You wouldn't be able to tell
guys.
us if you
Can't
could.
talk about it.
I mean,
Can't
he
say
could
anyway.
say that he's there. I mean, that he's, you know, and he was in Tales. If you guys remember, you could watch the episode Devon. We saw him in that. He's got a good feature too. Walking Dead Eternal says, "I sure as hell wouldn't join Simon." That's exactly right. I'd rather join somebody that was a little bit more organized and less bloodthirsty, who waited a little bit. They were live, but they are. Shut the fuck up, you suburban living apartment dweller. You're not even in the
love
city.
it.
You
I
work in
love
I
it.
work in
Thomas,
Manhattan.
Thomas says everything that
love
I
you,
think.
Thomas.
Keep it up. Keep it up.
So I guess Steven says definitely, lol. Oh, okay. I'm gonna keep your eye on you. I remember that guy. He was straight. Anyway, all right. Let's keep going because
Let's keep going.
Keep going. We're going for a record.
So do you
Oh
think
no, honey. Oh no.
we're not
Back
even
in the day,
we're not even 2 hours
Dead
in?
would go for like 4-5 hour recordings.
What are you talking about, bro?
This
It's
is-
2.5 hours in.
We have an hour and
this
38
is-
minutes. No.
Oh,
the live
my
stream.
time isn't changed on my computer. But I'm an hour behind.
goodness.
I was like, God, this has been
My
going on forever.
goodness, Bridget.
How long was he talking? I was checked out mentally.
All right.
for
So
so long while
Tranquilitas
Dave was
Ordinus
talking.
also says anyway. So
Stop. Oh my.
okay. There's a sign
Stop it.
as
I
they're
wanna hit
walking
you
in the
so bad.
beginning next to the trap that says Dawn Lincoln Center. Come kill with us. Do you think that we will see what that means later on? That maybe this is some sort of
Maybe.
just
Do you
thought
know
it
what
was
Do
graffiti.
you know what it reminded me of? Oh, go ahead,
away
Trey.
with you.
Oh no, that was. I just thought it was graffiti that was like interesting graffiti on the wall.
I think it's like
or maybe
it's a bulletin board, isn't it?
maybe
No?
from
So-
something that made me think of Acheron Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, okay.
Daryl was down in the subway.
And he saw the
Thinking about
mural.
a little bit.
Mm.
It reminded me of The Warriors.
The movie The Warriors.
The movie The Warriors, which the Saviors have always reminded me of The Warriors. The like whistle, you know? It just reminds me of the like Warriors. I don't know. Something it's like something about the dissonance in it. That's what it reminds me of.
Well,
Yeah.
what?
So
but,
that it made me think of that.
but in relation to this universe, do you think it means something? Do you think it means that this, that somebody's trying to say to somebody else, yeah, meet me here. We're gonna start killing, maybe to make money. Who knows what it's about? But we might. Do you think we might see what that means later on? I don't think this is one of those things that it's not for nothing, as we say here.
Oh, I think it's okay if it's for nothing.
All right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too.
I feel like there's a lot of
Can
things that are not for nothing about this
Can
series.
somebody I'm sorry.
Right.
Can somebody explain the trap to me? Because
Yeah,
I
I
did
was
not
gonna
see
bring
how
that up
Negan
too.
Yeah, dude.
figured out that was a
know.
trap. Because of the water bubbling.
Because of the bubbling.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was like, what?
And then like the sidewalk was wet. I mean, I
So,
saw
okay,
like a big thing
so
that looked like a
here-
net that might like
here's the
snatch them
only
up or
thing that I
something,
could
and then
figure
some
out. Yeah.
pots that would make
Yeah,
noise.
that part was a clear sign that it was a
Yeah.
trap. But
Right.
the water bubbling is what caught his eye. The only thing I
Right.
could think is that the water bubbling meant that there was airflow underneath that. And so that would tell you that there was a hole there, but there are holes everywhere
Everywhere.
because there's
It's
a
a sewer
subway
system.
system
Exactly.
and a sewer system. So it's like that
Yeah.
part to me, I was like, this is a little weird. I get it. I think if it had been done in any other setting, it would have been fine. But because it was New York City, it was like a little bit convoluted.
Although,
That's just my opinion.
did
Maybe there is more to it though. Maybe I'm
Did
dumb.
the water stain look like a shape to you? Because it looked like a jumping animal, like a jumping squirrel or something to me. Like when they showed the overhead shot of the water stain on the ground.
maybe it wasn't for people, but maybe for animals.
I don't
Rather
know,
than?
maybe- I have no idea. I'm just saying this is what it looked like to me. I don't know if it means anything.
But regardless, maybe this is one of those things Negan knows about because he knows he's in the save. Okay, Thomas says Ordinus air bubbleless. Incorrect. It's Tranquilitas Ordinus. Say it right. And here's one of their principles. So obviously, I'm half willing to say that he knows about it because he is a savior, and maybe that's one of his style of traps, or maybe it's something that they would typically do out there and wherever they were, Virginia, whatnot. Maybe that's why he knows about it. Wouldn't that make sense?
Also, like once it was pointed out, didn't it look super?
Hold on a minute.
obvious?
Bridget writes ha 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 after having laughed in the chat. What is wrong with you? Ha 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 ha. Also, it's Jif. Why would? I guess she's on my side now. Anyway,
I really wanted to
Slander.
sell that I really found it funny.
I see. I see. Your facial.
Rachel, as far as to what you said, like maybe it's because it's dark out. Like, it's supposed to be really dark in the city, and so like they did. People just walking along wouldn't notice the pots and pans and stuff hanging. Right.
But, like,
If Negan
once it
had
was
noticed,
pointed out,
right.
after you saw it, you'd
But
be like, "Oh,
is it a walker trap?
That's
Because
why.
wouldn't walkers be way more likely to walk into it than a person?
But here's why
Good
I think it's
call.
here's why I think it's for people is because of the pots and pans, right? The pots and pans are
Oh,
to draw
well, also-
walkers.
Also, it's hidden, and the walkers would just walk into it.
Who cares?
Like,
Yeah.
it didn't have to be hidden.
Right.
Well, I mean, the pots and pans go off, and so then other walkers
You don't need to be
go in.
stealthy.
I don't know.
The walkers will know. I mean, unless they're variants, and they're like,
We need to
they like get up
camouflage
there and they're
it
like,
for the
oh,
walkers.
no. Like, they're like variant walking around it.
The walkers go around the trap. They're like, "Oh, you almost got us."
Oh my god! It's a
Went out.
perceptive variant.
You fooled me once.
Fool me twice. Akataka. They speak
I wonder
Croatian.
if-
No, I
It's a
saw
Croatian
our friend
variant.
get snatched up last week.
I wonder if there's anything. I mean, is the subway system still extant since they bombed all the tunnels and everything?
In the title
like-
sequence, there's a derailed subway.
I mean,
down-
yeah, I mean, I saw that, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna see that, right?
And there's many
You know?
there's many
So, like-
rails too. Sure, I can see that.
It's for Dave.
Yes, we missed that line.
What?
Thomas says, "You guys missed the line." Negan said, "I knew that was a trap because of the bubbles and because I taught Crow how to make traps."
And then I said, ha 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 ha.
What is it? What does it mean? It means. So you're saying the writing is bad on Dead City? We can't just keep digging on fear right now.
Why not?
Otherwise, I'll start
I mean,
going into
honestly.
Tranquilitas Ordinance and
No.
I'll ruin it for everybody.
No, David, see, now you have bad writing. We don't need to tell people we're making fun of fear. It's just implied. Stop mansplaining.
The
what we're
podcast
doing.
audience didn't read what Thomas said,
I said it out loud.
but I wasn't paying attention. So let's keep going.
Dave,
I just
I'm
said
sorry
it.
to interrupt, but I'm putting in my 2 weeks notice. I'm joining Thomas's podcast.
The lack thereof.
Oh,
In his suburb
It'll be called Strawberry Fields.
forever,
because of her.
forever and ever and ever and ever, and the podcast will last 4 hours.
No, it'll last only 40 minutes, as Thomas says. 40 minutes is greater than 2.5
Strawberry
hours.
Fields for 40 minutes. That's the name of the podcast.
That's the lesser known Beatles version. The lesser known version.
Thomas, it's going to be called Podcastus Ordinance. It's podcast supremacy on Earth. It's a podcastocracy.
Yes.
You know what, Walking Dead Eternal, he says, I'm lost here. I'm like, you know what? Fair. At some point, this fucking podcast developed ADHD. So every time somebody says something, we just stop and just read while somebody's
I'm
talking.
sorry. I feel like it
I don't know.
happened when I
It's fine. I'm just kidding.
joined.
We're just reading comments now.
You know,
That's the
Thomas writes
So-
this show.
He does. He
Oh.
writes this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What, did you just,
Well, go write fear,
femsplain me?
Go right
did.
Fear, Thomas.
Please.
Yeah, do it.
Go right.
Do it.
Go
Do
write
it.
Strawberry
Do it.
Fields for 40 minutes.
You know, by the way, you could put Thomas O'Mara in the writer's credits in IMDb for Fear the Walking Dead, and it would totally say it. And we'll put a picture of Thomas, just like the most unflattering picture of Thomas, on
I'm
IMDb.
I'm hopping on board.
It'll be a picture of Thomas a la who's the guy, the artist, the with the multicolored fluorescent paints. What's his name? Scott
Andy
Spillman.
Warhol?
Oh, Scott.
Oh,
That's what,
I was
yeah.
like, what? I thought
Yeah.
you meant it. You meant like
Like Nate
famous
Michaels.
artists.
Scott
Actually,
Spillman.
we'll put his like full Latin
Scott's
name.
pretty famous.
It'll be Tomicus
I meant, like-
Omaricus,
Art history, like famous.
writer of Fear the
Like-
Walking
like
Dead,
Picasso.
executive writer. Anyway,
He's on his way.
I'm sorry. Thomas and your loss let me lead you back with a long monologue. And that was why I was geeking out. And then Rachel said, ha 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 ha
Just like Strand. Yes.
ha ha.
I don't know where to go from here. I'm with Walking Dead Eternal.
Jack of Games
Okay.
Night.
I want to talk about the walkers. I want to talk about the raining walkers because I think that was like the coolest part of the episode.
Oh,
When they were making noise
hallelujah!
down
It's
the
a raining
street,
walkers.
and the walkers were just walking off the roofs and out of windows and shit.
Mhm.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
he's just like, it's
So
no,
what
it's
is your-
raining walkers now.
It
Now
was-
walkers are falling
It
from the
was
sky.
cool. It was cool, but do you have a theory about what was happening? Like, I don't
Yes,
think
they were
just-
making noise. They were making noise down on the street, and so any walkers that were like in apartments or on roofs or whatever were walking
Were
towards
they,
the
though?
sound, and they were.
I don't
falling
feel
off
like they were that
buildings.
loud.
Dude, lights out in New York City.
Dummy knocked over that trash can lid.
Yeah, Jono.
Yeah, and then he tripped, and
That
then he
was it?
tripped, and then he tripped and fell too. I mean, he tripped over that metal post too.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
I had thought that Croats people, saviors, whoever they are, were like
We're pushing
I don't know,
them?
somehow corralling them
Takira-
in that direction.
Takira just said, I swear it seemed like someone was
Yeah.
tossing those walkers.
Yeah, I got that impression as well.
It's much
I
more
I
sad.
felt like somebody was leading them.
It sounds much sadder to me to think that it wasn't, because you're thinking to yourself.
Also,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. You
Oh,
finish your
well,
thought, and then I'll go.
What I was gonna say, what the Croat says to Herschel was
Unless
that,
it's going to be an hour.
no. What the Croat says to Herschel at the end was that that New York City was at the epicenter, and what they decided to do right away was immediately bomb the bridges
Yeah.
and tunnels. Right. So what happened to the people? Yes, of course. At the end of the day, they galvanized. But in the meantime, the herd that's walking around Manhattan perpetually, around the outskirts, the people that were trapped and trying to hole up in buildings that you can see from the distance have holes in them, at the top and on the
Right, I
sides,
mean-
and are burnt out.
And as walkers bang on them, because you're like, well, why wouldn't they all have already fallen out of the windows? Well, they have to bang against the windows, and after years of banging against the windows, when they hear noises, eventually some of them break. And if you've got millions and millions of people in tall buildings, whenever they hear noises, they bang on the windows. Eventually, they're going to start crumbling and falling out of the windows.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind that in this city, these buildings are continuously maintained. You have people constantly on the outside refabbing structures. You have buildings that are of a certain height that need constant maintenance on the windows themselves, because these buildings sway in the wind at a certain height.
Yeah.
So I've felt it, and it's fucking freaky. It's so freaky.
So another reason I had kind of thought that, and I could be completely wrong, but this is what I heard. This is how I interpret it. When they're all huddled in that little
Scaffolding?
I don't know, in front of those doors. No,
okay.
before the scaffolding, right
In the
before
doorway.
scaffolding. They're like, they're like hanging out in that doorway. Yeah, and in their the Delmonico, they're standing there, and then like even the captions say like noise, some kind of noise. To me, it sounded like an elevator or something, like somebody was lowering down these walkers and then like released them into this room, and then they showed up at that window.
It's
It
the hang
sounded
time.
to me like they were, because it's a Delmonico's is a restaurant, and it sounded to me like they were walking like through banging pots and pans and stuff, coming through the restaurant to get to the door,
Yeah.
and then they banged up against the door
Yep.
Okay.
because it was clanging. Is what it,
It was
sounded
like
like.
metal sounds.
Yeah, it
I
sounded
heard
like-
elevator.
it
And
sounded-
I didn't
that was kitchen sound to me. Yeah.
Classic
I
Foley,
didn't
come
notice
on.
it at first. I didn't notice it at first, but the second watch, I was watching on a much larger television, and they were cracking the window.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Right. At the end before they fled, right. And
Yeah.
one thing that the showrunners made mention of, Eli Journet made mention of, this was not in the episode Insider, but it was in a previous interview. Pay attention to what they're wearing too. It's not some of the dress is not
walkers?
typical. Yeah. So it'd be typical, like,
What does
like
that mean?
suits and ties, blazers, fancy dresses, things like that.
That's typical.
In New York City, yeah, people would dress like that all the time in Manhattan.
But see, there Manhattan, the population grows during work hours, right? During office work hours. So I'm guessing most of the people who would be wearing suits and ties and fancy dresses and whatnot would be leaving Manhattan at the end of the workday and going home. So most of them were at home. That's why there's not 8 million dead people in Manhattan, because most of the people went home to their homes outside of Manhattan before the
But
bridges
did
and shit
they?
got blown.
That's the question.
But
It
did
could have been
they?
midday. And
That's wild. I didn't even think about that.
and imagine if you're in the blast radius, and you die instantly. You get up and you're in your work clothes, undead, walking around in Delmonico's, clanking pots and pans. Apparently, in your fancy outfits.
I thought this scene. I loved the scene where they first came on to the New York City streets, because that was like, you guys remember how, like, when we're talking about Walking Dead favorite episodes, I said that the first episode is like one of my all-time favorites because of the emptiness, like the quiet, it's like really ominous. And 28 Days Later, beginning of that movie, for the same reason, it gave that, and I was like so excited because I wasn't expecting it, especially from the title sequence when we saw they do like the pullback shot on the intersection and it's filled with walkers, much like the Atlanta aerial shots that we got in the second episode of
With
the
chaos,
first season
yeah.
of The Walking Dead. Yeah. So I wasn't expecting like how ominous that was. It was really cool.
Yeah. I was gonna mention something about the Croat. Did I say that though? How the Croat mentioned the bridges and stuff. Yeah. Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay. I do want to go back to just the subway scene in the title sequence. There's something I liked about that a lot, and it showed like a sort of passage of time. It shows the subway tunnel, and above it, the street had crumbled below, above it. So there's a hole in it, and in that hole, there's like snow had come in, because it's showing winter in New York City post the bombing, let's say, and there was just something so almost. I don't know if it was Cloverfield or I don't know, but like the idea that time had passed, winter was falling. This is the remnants of New York City, and just like the idea of snow and light coming into the subway tunnel from above and into this wreckage and stuff. There was something so cool about that we were inhabiting or having this feeling or mood about the city over time. How a city that was bustling and like millions upon millions of people every day going through the subway tunnels, going to work, from work, to work, home, and now it's empty, and now it's derailed, and now...
Well, we've talked about that before. We talked about that with Last of Us, with the overgrown scenery. We've talked about that in Walking Dead, because we've talked about Chernobyl.
Right.
And then we've also talked about the Wizard of Oz park that was in the mountains of North Carolina. That has now been redone, but and like the
Quote,
old
unquote.
Disney parks that are overrun, have just been like abandoned, like Frontierland and stuff, like those ones were abandoned, and so they like overgrew, and it's like really, there's just something really spooky about seeing
your home,
man's effect on Earth,
right? But like for me, it's
to nature.
For me, that's home, and so that's weird. That's what it is for me. And I know you're reading Thomas saying, "Good Lord, Dave is going back to the beginning of the episode." That's what we do, Thomas.
No, he said, "Trust me, you've talked about everything."
You know what the irony of that statement is? You're still here. You just want to see a dumb shit.
I love it. He's like, this episode is so long.
Oh God, he's still going. You're still here. There's something I'm doing. Or the bridges. You know what it is? No, he knows. You know what it is. Morgan.
You know what it is.
What it is. You know what it is.
I was gonna sing it, but that was better.
He's trying to. He's waiting. He's trying to get you to laugh again, to laugh at his jokes. His fucking jokes. He's like, how much gold can I squeeze into this podcast ordinance?
Well, he's got real suckers with me and Rachel here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to keep everyone else entertained. While Takira dies
We
laughing.
like to laugh.
In the
I don't see you typing it though.
in the atlas
Cue
that
typing.
Maggie drops out of the truck when she kicks that guy in the face and drives off.
Mm.
When Pearlie picks it up and he's looking at it, it highlights
Macon,
Macon,
Georgia.
Georgia, which I did not know this for myself. I heard somebody else say it. Is where the Telltale games take place in season 1 in Macon,
Cool.
Georgia, and it's also the approximate location of Terminus.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Ooh.
I knew that was significant for some reason, but I'm like, I didn't even write it in my notes. I'm like, is there something to this shit? I don't know. Anyway, that's pretty cool. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. Like, I wrote something about Jano being Randall in this scenario. What?
Oh, not another Randall.
But in a sense, like, he's literally proposing the same scenario as Rick, Rick and the rest of the crew did when it came to Randall. Like, okay, but if he goes, then he'll tell everybody about the farm, and same thing with Jano, which is why that was the start of me trying to figure out, like, oh wait, is Maggie the good guy? Is Negan the good guy? Who's the bad guy here? Because when that proposal came about, Randall in The Walking Dead, I was very torn. There's that moral part of you that's like, okay, he's not a threat. Maybe he won't tell. And then he shows up on Ms. Maisel several years later. The actor. I don't know. I just felt like going there for a sec. It's easy to forget that was the guy. So, anyway, mini John Bernthal.
I loved all of the bodies in the water as they're taking the boat through. And he was like, "It's a short swim back to the shore." But yeah, but you got to swim
it's
through
filled with bites.
Yeah,
fucking
idiot.
dead, bloated, floating walkers. It was like Titanic if they had like sunk in Florida or something.
Times,
like in warm
times
waters,
100,000.
they would have just bloated instead of frozen together.
Can you imagine?
It made me just think like, you're gonna get typhoid. That's like all I can think is like, you're for sure getting typhoid on this ride over.
Well, you thought the water around New York was dirty now. I mean, you thought the East River was bad now.
Yeah. The Hudson. Yeah, terrible. So Hilltop. What is the state of Hilltop? She mentions that you burned it down, asshole. But it sounds
That was
like
so confusing.
that's kind of why I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. I went and looked back online. I was like, wait, I thought she rebuilt Hilltop. Because she did, because Daryl shows up there as a Commonwealth soldier.
Right.
So it was a very confusing. I don't know if it was just like a jab at like, you did do this at one point, because he did burn it down. And I'm sure it was never to the same quality or whatever, but the Commonwealth did take it over at one point. I don't know. It was very confusing. It was rebuilt. So I don't know why that was what she said. I don't know.
So do you think that part of the reason why they relocated was due to the Croat attack, that they did breach the walls of New Hilltop in the same location, but New Hilltop?
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But if they moved, I can't see Maggie waiting very long to go after Herschel, and I can't see her also leaving everybody to set up a new place after just moving. And then send a kid there, and then send a kid there with no protection or anything. Like, this place isn't set up, but let me send this kid there.
And
I could see her being like, because the Croat ruined it, like, that's on you, Negan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, I could see her being like, that's on you. You screwed this up. But, like, what are the odds that, like, the Croat also burned it down?
Right. And Virginia is a long way for the Croat to reach, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty long way for him to go. So I think it was more she moved because the Hilltop, maybe they just couldn't make it viable again. I mean, maybe too many things went wrong.
That's what Takira just said. I think they attempted to rebuild it, but after the Whispers and then being burned down, they couldn't grow crops well.
Right. And they just ran it down too much. It's not worth rebuilding. So plus there's not super great memories there either, you know.
Yeah.
So move somewhere else, start over again.
Well, and Barrington House was done.
Torched,
And maybe they wanted
Oh,
to be
yeah.
a little closer to the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth is north of Virginia, right? Northwest of Virginia. So maybe they're
Yep.
somewhere in between the Commonwealth and New Babylon. And
Which
they rebuilt there because what was left around Hilltop at Alexandria.
which to use the same logic that we applied to Fear the Walking Dead, that was the only part that felt like fast travel, at least to me. And maybe the only reason why they did that, just to give a little bit of cover for that, because it was a little confusing. You weren't sure where you were. Oh, is this Hilltop? Is this New Hilltop? Where are we? How fast did we get here? Blah blah. But maybe the whole reason why we
I
don't.
thought the opposite, Dave. I
What's
was
that?
like, oh, thank God they showed the passing of time by being in a vehicle. So now I know that they've driven a ways. Like, that to me was actually better than what we've been dealing
Well,
with.
they showed daytime, and
Right.
then it was nighttime,
Right.
Yeah.
and then it was daytime again. It wasn't just
Yeah.
daytime and then daytime 2 weeks later, or however much later
But-
it was.
The only thing is that I didn't know where we were. I mean, at first I didn't like where are we on the way
Well,
to?
we don't know where New Babylon is, but I was just like, well, maybe I'll find out. I was just chalking it up to like maybe that'll be explained.
Or maybe
later.
that's the point. Like maybe it's the whole it's the purposeful that we don't know where it is. Maybe there's a mystique about it. That is the only
Yeah.
thing I could think of. But it is.
Shauna
Obviously,
brought up a
somewhere
really good
adjacent to
point.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
But is it though?
Clearly,
Is it obvious?
No. Shauna says that the reason Maggie said that about Negan was because she was convincing herself of how bad he was to do this trade. Like, she's trying to remind herself, like, this is the guy that killed my husband. This is the guy that wrecked my home. This is the guy who's taken everything from me.
And
so
ergo,
that she can justify what she's doing.
the closing of the back window, all the trying to block herself from seeing all these bits and displays of humanity from Negan. She's just trying to block that up
Yeah.
for knowing that she's going to trade him in.
Yeah,
So-
thank you,
right.
Shauna.
Good
That's
point.
a really good call.
Yeah, it's good support.
Negan even makes a point of saying, like, I thought we put this shit to bed.
Right. But
Really, you woke it the fuck back up.
yeah, which kind of goes to something that Fear the Walking Dead has been doing, and that is same as Madison. Let's just compare Negan to Madison. Like, what are you living for? In a sense, these are ghosts that had their family. Let's say Annie is dead and her child. These are ghosts that are roaming the earth. What is the point of them? And Negan does find purpose in Ginny, but I can see a world in where Negan says, well, this is a greater purpose. I know this person and her son, and I am responsible for her husband's death, and I know it, and I've expressed my heartfeltness about that many times, a couple of times at least, to her face, and once behind the scenes, which really got her. I can see a person like that saying, and you do see this also in the end, like near the end of season 11. He gives his life for Annie and everybody else. He steps up and tries to be the hero. Then Zeke comes in, gets his back. And so you see that he's capable of doing this self-sacrificial shit for the sake of everybody. So, of course, it follows that he would do the same here, too. Of course, she's in a bad state. I'm just going to do this. There's no point in me living now. Everything that I fought for has been taken away from me. So this is the thing. And now as long as somebody's...
Maybe if
go ahead.
Maybe if I get close enough, I really can be a hero and take this fucking douchebag out too, even if it takes me out at the same time.
Right.
Maybe I can rid the world of the Crow out at the same time
And-
and really be the hero.
And here's the thing: all the while you have the marshals running around, and you're wondering, like, who is worse? And even if you do take out the Croat, that clears the way for these fuckers, these crazy, psychotic, just war theory fuckers, to take over Manhattan and make things a whole lot worse. So it's like, who do you root for? Who is the good guy? Who is the bad guy? It's really interesting, though. I love it. But also, damn, this is tense. Let me read some comments. Let's catch up with everybody.
There ain't no bad guy.
Thomas says lots of Editus podcasts is for Davis. Takira says apparently Commonwealth is in Ohio. Yeah. She says I feel like it's either Jersey or Delaware. Oh, the new Hilltop, maybe PA. That's kind of what I was thinking, but again, it's really hard to tell. Thomas says Fear the Walking Dead has been doing shooting the bed. Mario says not in PA for sure. Because of is that because of the Rick Grimes theory, the city in the distance summit? Anyway, Emily says I'd love for them to be I love for them to actually explore this instead of flip flopping. Oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm bad all the time. Maybe then if I'll actually believe him. You know, fair, absolutely fair. But I like the fact that we have all these little external forces pushing against both of these characters, because we don't know where they're gonna go, and we don't know if they're gonna. It's as simple as taking out the Croat and bringing home Herschel because of these marshals, because of the world around them. And we haven't met all the other outside forces that they're going to encounter along the way, including this crazy lady. Which does anybody have anything to say about this? The wife from The Princess Bride, the what's this name? Billy
That
Crystal.
was like
Thomas referred to her as the lady with Beetlejuice hair.
that was like some video game looking shit though, right?
The lady
they're
on
going
top
around
on the
Roll to
rooftop.
the edge.
Well, and all you can see is the little bit, like say you're playing a video game and you're in a dark room and all you have is a flashlight and all you can see is the little bit that you can light up with the flashlight, and then all of a sudden
Or a
somebody's right
never-ending
there.
matchstick.
Right, just the never-ending match. But like right there, all of a sudden there's somebody right there, and then she blew out the match. I was
Then
like,
she
oh,
blew
that
it
was
out.
good.
Nice touch.
That shit was
Terrifying.
crazy. Yeah.
Right.
I don't think she's gonna be bad though.
No, I don't think she's bad. I think she's gonna like help them through the city or some shit like that. But
I do too.
just the way they introduced her was spooky and cool. Like I mean, I really like that part. Yeah.
And she can
Scary.
obviously navigate the buildings, because first we saw her on the rooftop, and now we see her like down.
Yeah, when
wherever,
she was
so-
watching them when the bodies were falling,
Mhm.
when they were running away from all the falling bodies.
So we know she can make her way through a building.
Like nobody's business. Sorry, I had to mute this notification.
It's really it's very much like Escape from New York. You know how like the people in the movie Escape from New York that lived through the nerve gas that was released, because that's like the premise. It's not in the movie, it's in the novelization. There's like more detail on why the people in New York City are so nuts, but it has to do with the nerve gas that was released. And it's like the people that are there who lived through all of this are gonna be nuts.
Well, and we get a taste of that in like the Pharaohs episode.
They're gonna be like super crazy. Like,
Mm.
how would you have dealt with that? Like, everyone around you died. You're trapped on an island, and the government put you there. And they're like, "Bye,
Well, yeah, they trapped you there. Essentially.
Like,
yeah,
see ya, good
Figure it out,
luck."
bud.
but the city galvanizes you. I don't. Maybe after many years, let's say.
So maybe she'll be like Cabby from Escape from New York.
You know, we should
Who's
mention.
a well-loved character.
Maybe we should mention also that the guy that the Croat had that escaped. It seems as though these guys are pulling the same shtick that they did on Maggie on this guy too. They're trying to find out more about his community. That was the reason why they had him. He was torturing him for more information about his community, so that they can get more goods on them, so they can convince them to give him half their shit. So, we're getting more information by way of visuals and by way of situational, rather than, as Thomas would say, monologue. It gives you some more information about who these people are and that they are running in some way, maybe most of the way the Saviors used to operate. So I'm really curious to see this more grand operation and version of the Saviors. I don't know about you, and how this ghost continues to persist. This terror of the Saviors continues to persist under a psychopath. I'm really curious.
He's gonna be like Morgan and break the cycle. I gotta break the cycle.
First he's like Madison, and now he's like Morgan. Maybe.
Get fear out of my head. What is happening?
No.
That's all I think about.
All I think about is that's the shirt. All I think about is fear, because Dave. Thomas says, Tahir says, I only feel like she may have moved to Hilltop to PA because it's closer to the Commonwealth. Fair. But anyway, Thomas says, but first, hate bang. So Thomas says, I can tell you all about her. Knock, knock. How does this podcast continue to persist? Because of listeners
Because you're
like
still
you,
here,
Thomas. Yeah,
Thomas.
that's why. Truly, I'm being serious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shauna says, Morgan clears Manhattan. Sounds like a messed up little golden book.
It does.
It's like
It's the
Muppets.
Muppets take Manhattan.
Dun, 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 dun. All I see is red. I'm gonna clear Manhattan from the voices in my head.
And, that's a
And
wrap,
Thomas,
folks.
that's why you watch this podcast. Thank you very much.
And if you like what you've heard,
And if you like what you
Head over
heard,
to ratethispodcast.com.
And if you
Slash
haven't,
Squawking
all
Dead.
we need is
be like
all we need
Statler
is
and
5 stars
Waldorf.
and an eggplant to tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like.
remember to tell
And
us.
tell us what we missed.
You're stepping on my line.
But remember to tell us after each and every episode.
Where am I? Where am I? Marlison! Who's doing the outro? Hey, Logan Stokes. 10 out of 10. Thank you very much. I know you're talking about Dead City.
No, he's talking about your Muppet song. It was
Thank you
great.
very much. You know, we're going to have to
You
take
should
that
probably
out of the
record it.
podcast, and then we're going to have to put music behind it. And now.
Cease and desist, Dave.
Don't get
Cease and
dinged.
Oh, we're going to get a ding.
Don't get
We're going to get a copy. Not a copyright
Only
strike.
if you put music to it. Only if you put music to it.
Yeah,
I'll
no music
compose the
to it.
music. I'll do like synthesize.
There you go.
That's fine.
Change the key. Change the key.
I'll change the key
Change
too.
the key.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
I'll change
Yeah.
the pace too.
There you go.
Oh,
Slow
I
it
see.
down. Make it all like creepy.
Well, like with a bass line. Bing, 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 bing. Now it's like a sexy
Ooh.
clearing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
make it funky. I
Really
like it.
that. And if you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/squawking dead. 5 stars in a big old eggplant is all we need to know that you love us. But tell us what you liked. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us if you like big eggplants. But remember to tell us after every episode. And if you really like what you've heard, really, this is the end, guys. We're doing the outro.
Thank God.
And you really want to follow us and show up to our recording sessions, well,
They
consider
go much like this.
They go much
They
like
go
this.
exactly
except,
like this.
Except we're not like edited for television, so we do tend to go a little off the rails. Well, make sure to follow us on either
Just like
ko-fi.com.
This was edited for television.
No, when we're usually recording, it gets worse. Believe me, it gets worse when we're behind. We're not doing a live stream. So much gets cut out. I can't even tell you.
No, he's always cutting
Yeah,
out
all
my
of our
good
laughing.
stuff.
Yeah,
He cuts out all of our laughs.
not all of it. Only when it comes
who
to
wa-
my jokes.
Who wants to sing Thomas's suggestion, Marvin Gaye's "Sexual Clearing"?
No. Maybe we'll make it. Well, no, we'll sell it in the Ko-fi shop. I'll write the
Maybe.
lyrics. Anyway,
It'll be like the parting glass. It's just all of
you know
us
what
singing
you know what I
it.
really love? You know what I really love? Like everybody's like, God, let's just go already, and like, I'm like, okay, we're going, and they're like,
We're still going.
Let's just still going, exactly. But if you really like what you've heard, make sure to follow us on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead Bridget or patreon.com/squawkingdead. It's the only place where we post our recording schedules. We don't post our recording sessions on social media. So please consider following us there for free. Attending these recording sessions are also free. So you don't have to give us them. But if you do like what we're doing, you could do it you could do this on stream too. And your message will show up just like Lois's was today. Is you could tip us on Ko-fi and receive 30 days of supporter back content there. Or you can join a membership tier, and that will also show up on stream, that alert, for just as little as $1. And you'll get all these benefits in perpetuity, the unedited episodes, the Discord access, so you can chat with us between episodes as we develop new cool things and show you cool logo art that I just created up here, right there on the screen right now. No, it's right there, actually.
I don't see it.
But you can't see
see
it.
it.
But it's fine. You know, it's there. It's like God, tranquilitas ordinus.
All right,
And
I'll believe you.
yeah, and so you can.
Kill
The
me.
irony is I am doing podcasticus ordinus right now. I'm establishing a moral framework whereby I torture my compatriots. This podcast.
I'd
For-
like to die again, please. Thank you.
Well,
So
you know,
much.
it is all about the
This podcast
resurrection.
is just-
So, again, consider joining a membership tier. It is as little as $1. You can have these benefits in perpetuity. And as always, the Whispers and Survivors tier members get credits at the end of this episode. I should mention them right now. It is at Judith, the Whispers, starting with the Survivors tier members. It is at Real Ryan GM on Twitter, at Elisa Jones 71 on Instagram, and
Yay.
or at Jones AJ6 on Twitter, and Linda Peck Athens, who you can reach at ko-fi.com/fanartlindy. And also the Whispers tier members, you've got at Judith.Morton on Instagram, at J13 Voorhees, and at Tyler Phillip Cox on Instagram and Twitter. You've got at Sandy.D.Morrison on Facebook, as well as Takira, who you can reach at ko-fi.com/Connie Dixon, the number 4, LYFE, Connie Dixon for life. I think that's all of them. And in any case, I've been your host, David Cameo, the podcasticus ordinus person. And you were joined also by Cosmom09 Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER, which is also her Twitter handle? Or was it her Instagram?
Finally, my Twitter handle, guys.
Exactly. Yay! She just changed her Twitter handle. And you can find her, I think, yet on punky.brewster on Instagram yet.
I didn't do it yet.
She'll get there. But if you want to...
now I have to because someone else, Thomas, will take it otherwise.
Wow, that's what she thinks of you. Attack her. She's down here. But...
Damn it, Dave.
Well, again, that's why I say her Ko-fi page, because you can follow all her accounts there. Even if she changes it, it'll change for you when you follow her. And you should be following her because she does cool things, or she will. She just did a recording session.
Sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I forgot.
I did something
Sorry,
cool.
I forgot to shout out Aiden Atkin, who you can reach at Aiden, ko-fi.com/Aiden Atkin. That's a Whispers tier member. I knew I forgot one
All
person.
right, fine. I'm officially punky.brewster on Instagram.
Boom,
That was
shakalaka.
great.
Consolidated all of my branding.
Well, I sincerely hope that you, like the rest of us and the folks in the chat who were here with us, enjoyed the first seminal episode of The Walking Dead Dead City. And I can't wait to record with all of you again next week. So until then, we are Squawking Dead. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You know what? No one said that is some ugly mustard about this cup.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too soon. God. Some bullshit right there.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. We'll see